Chapter 410. Everyone thought that Tianyun could only summon 2 heavenly dragons, but when the 3rd heavenly dragon appeared, the enemy and their allies were shocked. How can he summon more heavenly dragons? Didn't each person only summon 1 heavenly dragon? How can there be 3 heavenly dragons? Roar! Whether in terms of length or strength, the huge sky dragon far exceeded the sky dragon summoned by Rinlong and the others. It pounced towards the army and opened its huge mouth to spit out a terrifying beam of light. Everywhere it went was turned into ruins. Many of the enemy soldiers were sent flying, screaming in pain. Ding! Successfully killed Spirit Core Cultivator General. Reward, 2,300,000 EXP, 9,300 Crazy Point, 150 SPs. Obtained Martial Art Fierce Dragon / Flying Leg. Obtained Item Recovery Pill, Spirit Breaking Pill. Ding! Successfully killed Core Transformation Realm General. Reward, 1 million EXP, 12,000 Crazy Point, 450 SPS. Obtained Martial Art Tyrannical Tiger Claw, Dragon Soul Secret Art. Obtained Item Dragon Jade Armor, Heavenly Domain Sword. Ding! Successfully killed Spirit Core Cultivator General. Reward, 2,400,000 EXP, 9,400 Crazy Point, 200 SPs. The terrifying heavenly dragon rampaged madly in all directions. Compared to them, Tianyun is more like a terrifying slaughterer. No matter how many heavenly dragons come at him, he will kill them all. Before he started killing, he used all the EXP cards he had. If he didn't have any, he would buy them in the shop. 30x EXP card, 20x EXP card, 10x EXP card and 5x EXP card. That's 65 times EXP. With 65 times EXP, coupled with his own crazy EXP mode, it's a terrifying 73 times EXP. Suddenly, a small Spirit Core Cultivator can bring him more than 2 million EXP. The same is true for Crazy Point, he used 3x EXP card. The same is true for Sin Point, he used 2x Sin card. All of a sudden, all of his experience points exploded. In the face of so many enemies, if he didn't use it, he would be a fool. No matter how much Crazy Point he has, he will use it. Because he will definitely get back the cost soon, unless he dies. What's going on? There is another heavenly dragon? The faces of the Imperial Preceptor and the others all changed. Moreover, it was such a ferocious heavenly dragon. They had never seen such a huge heavenly dragon before. This degree of domineeringness was simply unparalleled. Most importantly, it wasn't Rinlong or Rinjiro who was summoning them. It was that unknown kid. Rinlong's side was stunned. This was the first time they had seen such a domineering sky dragon. The sky dragon that was summoned was so shocking. Heavens! Did King Yi summon this? He's so powerful to be able to summon such a huge heavenly dragon. This King Yi is really unfathomable. I wonder how he can control the heavenly dragon secret treasure. But with King Yi here, we will have a great advantage. The morale on this side soared. The sky dragon was their guardian. Seeing the sky dragon soaring through the sky, their hearts naturally surged. Swish, swish, swish. The archers once again pulled back their bows and shot out. Sky Dragon was not weak, but it was not just a small group of soldiers that surrounded them. There were soldiers everywhere, and they charged towards them. Dang, dang, dang. When the enemy soldiers got close, they quickly launched a frenzied attack at the barrier. However, they could not break through the barrier, and all their attacks were blocked outside. On the other hand, the soldiers inside the barrier were able to attack outside. That was the difference. Those inside the barrier could attack at will, but those outside could only attack the barrier. They could not break through it. If they wanted to break through, they would first have to break through the barrier. However, under such a crazy attack, the barrier could not last for too long. Hence, many soldiers had already killed their way out and were fighting with the soldiers outside. When they were injured or exhausted, they quickly retreated to rest. This kind of fortress was perfect for a war of attrition. Die! At that moment, Divine General Long Tian roared and swung his sword down. Even the void was about to be split in half. As a dazzling light slashed down, the sky dragon that was attacking everywhere was cut in half at the waist. The violent force hit the sky dragon's body. However, after the sky dragon was cut in half, it turned into countless light spots that floated in the air. Very quickly, it reformed into a huge sky dragon. There was no problem at all. Be it its size or cultivation, there were no changes. Roar! The sky dragon roared and opened its mouth, pouncing towards the soldiers with low cultivation. A golden pillar of light shot out from its mouth and bombarded them, killing a large group of soldiers. Mortal. Indeed, sky dragons could not die. Unless they were trapped like the Imperial Preceptor, no matter how they were cut, it would be useless. They would recover very quickly and fly again. If he trapped it, it would be the same as locking this power, and it would not be able to condense it again. Imperial Preceptor. Divine General Long Tion's face sank. He wanted the Imperial Preceptor to suppress this sky dragon. The Imperial Preceptor's face was also ugly. The flags he brought could only suppress 2 sky dragons. If he were to suppress Yi Tianyun's one, the other 2 would have to escape. This was because Yi Tianyun's one was too domineering. 2 or 3 flags could not suppress it at all. Suppress this one first. The Imperial Preceptor gritted his teeth and quickly kept the dragon's subduing flag. He then instructed, send someone to stop the other 2 sky dragons. Leave this one to me. With a wave of the Imperial Preceptor's hand, the dragon's subduing flag that trapped the other 2 sky dragons immediately flew over and quickly surrounded Yi Tianyun's sky dragon. In the blink of an eye, it was surrounded by countless light rings, trapping it tightly. The difference between the 2 was too great. Suppressing the sky dragon was not a problem at all. The problem was that these sky dragons could not die, so it was useless no matter how strong they were. What was the point of killing them if they could not be killed? Countless slashes and then countless recoveries, so there was not much point in killing them. After the other 2 sky dragons broke free from the light rings, they quickly attacked to the side. However, they were quickly trapped by the other cultivators. They were constantly attacked and could only cause small damage. King Yi, it seems like it's our turn to take action personally. Rin Long's expression was solemn. He was ready for battle. The sky dragon only had the effect of increasing their aura. It was not practical to chase these people away. Yes, but I still have a gift for them. Tianyun flew out and looked at them with a faint smile. It seems that this dragon-subduing flag is quite powerful. Let's see how many sky dragons you can suppress. In the next moment, Yi Tianyun waved his hand and dozens of earth dragons appeared on the ground. They roared at the sky. Then, 2 huge dragons appeared on the ground, 1 red and 1 black. It was a large group of sky dragons. Is he a beast tamer? The Imperial Preceptor's face darkened as he looked at the large group of sky dragons. With so many sky dragons charging at them, the damage they caused was terrifying, especially the 2 huge dragons. Their chi was at the peak of the core transformation stage. It was enough to suppress all the other cultivators except for them. Chapter 411. Roar. After a group of earth dragons and 2 red and black dragons appeared, they immediately rushed to the front. Especially this group of earth dragons, there are dozens of them, like dozens of mountains, they rushed to the front. Unless one is a core transformation expert, otherwise, no one will be able to move them. Seeing this group of earth dragons, Imperial Preceptor's face became even more ugly. General Long's earth dragon army was subdued by him. What kind of beast tamer is this? He can control so many earth dragons at once. This is a big gift, and all of them are dragons. The soldiers behind him were shocked. Rin Long and the others have never seen so many dragons. He can control so many at once. He is simply a monster. Under the attack of so many earth dragons, the soldiers who charged to the front were either slapped to death or sent flying by the earth dragons. They were either killed or injured. Ding! Successfully killed a soldier of Spirit Refinement Realm, gaining 93,000 EXP, 650 Crazy Point, 50 SPs. Obtained Martial Art. Ding! Successfully killed Spirit Refinement Soldier, gained. A large number of cannon fodder were easily killed. The ones who rushed to the front are usually the ones with the lowest cultivation level, but they are also the ones with the most number. Those with high cultivation level have already turned around and fled. They don't dare to get close to this group of earth dragons. Brother E, are you also a beast tamer? Renjiro was shocked. Well, I am, but we can't hold them for long. We need to go out and intercept them. Tianyun didn't think that these earth dragons and the two giant dragons would be able to stop them unless they killed the Imperial Preceptor and the others. Otherwise, these earth dragons would be a piece of cake for the Imperial Preceptor and the others. Everyone looked at Tianyun. Their hearts are even more shocked. They don't know what to say. Those who opposed Tianyun to become a king before, now they are trembling. Even if he can't become a king at that time, he will definitely become a king after this battle. With this strength, he is more than qualified to become a king. Not only are you a beast tamer, you can control so many dragons and the heavenly dragon's secret treasure. How could the Ren family have such an expert? Could it be that the Ren family hid him? Prime Minister Long ignored the group of earth dragons below. They were more concerned about Tianyun's identity. It was not easy for him to control the heavenly dragon's secret treasure. I'll leave that to your imagination. Tianyun pulled back the Ice Frost Divine Bow in his hand and aimed at them, shooting wildly. Wherever he went, a large number of enemies were crushed and forced to retreat. Just his strength alone was enough to stop most of the troops from advancing. They didn't dare to approach at all. At this time, they roared loudly. Taking advantage of the high morale, all the patriarchs rushed out and a large number of core transformation stage powerhouses joined the battle. At this moment, the battle had officially entered the climax, and the flames of war were completely ignited. They wouldn't hide inside and watch foolishly. Instead, they would come out and fight bravely, completely driving away these enemies. If you don't want to talk, then no matter who you are, today will be the day you die. Prime Minister Long's eyes turned cold, and the power of the heavenly dragon burst out. A heavenly dragon phantom appeared behind him, and then he fiercely slapped his palm. Heavenly Dragon Battle Roar. A heavenly dragon whizzed out of his hand and attacked him crazily. The earth trembled because of it. Just the places that the heavenly dragon had brushed past cracked into several pieces. There were even deep depressions. It was as if the body of a giant dragon had rubbed against the ground, leaving a deep ravine. The power of this move was as high as 40 million combat power. It can be said that it was a very strong attack. At this moment, Prime Minister Long suddenly appeared behind Tianyun, and the long sword in his hand pierced towards Tianyun's back. The flickering sword light was released from the body of the sword, and without hesitation, it pierced towards Tianyun's chest. 2 against 1. They wanted to get rid of Tianyun as soon as possible. Everyone can see that Tianyun is a scourge. If they want to capture this heavenly dragon empire, they must first kill Tianyun. Moreover, Tianyun has rushed out, and the rest are still inside the shield, so they can't deal with him. Renlong and the others wanted to help, but it was too late. Everything happened too suddenly, so fast that they couldn't keep up. Their cultivation is a notch lower than Prime Minister Long. Renlong was originally stronger than Prime Minister Long, but that was in the past. Now, he is not as strong as Prime Minister Long. Die. Prime Minister Long's eyes flickered with a cold light, and he released the maximum strength in his hand, wanting to kill Tianyun in one move. When many people thought that Tianyun would die, he suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed it. He grabbed it with his bare hand, and didn't use a weapon to block it. Clang! A crisp sound rang out, and when everyone looked over, they discovered that the attack didn't sever his hand. Instead, it was caught in his hand, and the tyrannical sword couldn't cut it in the slightest. Prime Minister Long was completely caught in Tianyun's hand. Your level is a bit too low. Even General Feng can't hurt me. You're still lacking. Tianyun sneered and dragged Prime Minister Long over. By the time Prime Minister Long reacted and wanted to let go, it was too late. Tianyun grabbed his shoulder and quickly turned him forward, following the heavenly dragon battle roar. He pushed Prime Minister Long forward and used him as a shield. Boom! Prime Minister Long was hit in the back, and the violent impact caused him to cough up blood. Tianyun slightly twisted his head to the side, dodging the blood. However, what greeted him next was a heavy sword that pierced through his chest and lifted him into the air. This sword was Prime Minister Long's sword, and it was already in Tianyun's hand. Your strength is too weak. Practice more in your next life, and don't be a traitor. Xiong. The immortal fire burned and enveloped Prime Minister Long. The violent flame quickly burned Prime Minister Long into charcoal, and Prime Minister Long threw his body to the side. Divine General Long Tian's corpse fell from the sky. When it hit the ground, it was smashed into several pieces. All of them were burnt to a crisp, so it was natural for it to be smashed into pieces. Ding. Successfully killed Prime Minister Long, reward, 36 million EXP, 15,000 CPS, 1,000 SPs. Obtained demon subduing sword art. Obtained item, Dragon God Bloodline, 4th grade, Divine Dragon Sword. An explosive amount of EXP surged up, and with the terrifying EXP stacking, Prime Minister Long got 30 million EXP at once. After killing a few more, Prime Minister Long can level up easily. But Void Spirit experts aren't cabbages. There were 3 Void Spirit experts in front of him, but now that he killed one, there were only 2 left. Chapter 412. 2 against 1? This was indeed not very fair, but who would say that it was fair on this battlefield? Winner takes all, whoever wins is the king. But these words coming from Yi Tianyun's mouth were full of sarcasm. 2 against 1 couldn't kill him, it was really too weak. Many people were shocked by this scene. A Void Spirit stage expert's attack actually didn't cause any damage to him. Wasn't this too heaven-defying? Blocking this attack was already quite powerful, but catching the sword with one's bare hands was completely different. Just how strong was one's defense? Of course, Yi Tianyun's defense was not weak. He had already equipped the Evil Dragon set, which boosted his defense by 20 times, and he also had the Dragon God Bloodline, which boosted his defense greatly. One must know that he was able to withstand General Feng's attack even when his cultivation was weaker. Now Divine General Long Tian was a bit weaker than General Feng. His weapon was slightly better, but it couldn't make up for the gap between the two. He was easily killed by Yi Tianyun. Not only did he use Divine General Long Tian as a meat shield to block the attack, he also easily killed Divine General Long Tian. He was like a god of war. This battle was very shocking. But the other battles were still going on. They didn't stop because of the situation here. They were still fighting crazily. The battle had long been pushed into a white-hot state. Among them, Yi Tianyun's giant dragon was constantly killing. Everywhere it went, there were corpses. They were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. They abandoned their armor and fled. Morale had dropped greatly. Now that Divine General Long Tian was killed, the soldiers were scared out of their wits. Originally, they thought that with so many experts helping them, they would definitely win. But now it seemed that they were completely suppressed. If this continued, they would all die here. How could they not be afraid? In addition to this, EXP was pouring in crazily. There was also his sin value. They were constantly increasing while he was facing off. There were so many earth dragons and giant dragons, and they were killing their enemies at every moment. They looked so fierce. As long as Yi Tianyun didn't ask them to stop, they wouldn't stop. If this continued, even if he didn't kill high-level experts, just the Spirit Core stage would be enough for him to level up. 73 times the experience was no joke. On rare occasions, leveling up would not be difficult. Ren Long also joined the battle and killed the core transformation generals on the side. Although he couldn't compete with Prime Minister Long and the other core transformation generals, it wasn't a problem for him to kill them. Originally, the key person was Ren Long, but now that the Imperial Preceptor and Prime Minister Long were transferred to him, he was the real key person. If they didn't kill him, they wouldn't be able to conquer the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Oh, when I said that 2 against 1 isn't fair, it's not for me but for you guys. Isn't the number of people a little too little? It's not fair to you guys. Yi Tianyun held onto the Dragon God sword and looked at them coldly. Prime Minister Long's face was ashen. He didn't expect that Divine General Long Tian would be killed so easily. A Void Spirit stage expert was killed just like that. This was his right-hand man, and he had died just like that. Don't be arrogant. At this time, the Imperial Preceptor rushed towards Yi Tianyun. A few divine runes appeared in his hand and he quickly threw them out. A huge array appeared in the air and quickly condensed into a lightning bolt that struck down from the sky towards the Imperial Preceptor. The Imperial Preceptor is indeed a divine rune grandmaster. He is indeed a divine rune grandmaster. The Imperial Preceptor's strength was not in attack, but in array formations. The Imperial Preceptor was a divine rune grandmaster and he came here to break the array. Even if he had a heavenly dragon secret treasure, he would still be able to break the array if he had enough time. Unfortunately, he met Yi Tianyun. He can't break the array at all, let alone break it. Lightning bolt. Suddenly, a pearl appeared in Yi Tianyun's hand. Along with a terrifying suction force, the lightning bolt was sucked into the heavenly thunder divine pearl. After the divine runes disappeared, Yi Tianyun flew in the air unscathed. On the contrary, the heavenly thunder divine pearl in his hand was full. The power of this heavenly thunder attack was indeed not weak. It immediately reached more than 50 million combat power, but the heavenly thunder divine pearl has absolute suppression and completely absorbed this power. Fortunately, the heavenly thunder was still within the range of tolerance, otherwise, the heavenly thunder divine pearl would have exploded. This is... The Imperial Preceptor's pupils shrank. The array that he was proud of was absorbed just like that. This heavenly thunder is not bad, but I will return it to you. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and a terrifying lightning bolt blasted out from the heavenly thunder divine pearl. A thick lightning bolt bombarded Prime Minister Long. Its power was almost the same as the one released by the Imperial Preceptor. They didn't expect that Yi Tianyun would use this trick again. Not only that, but he was also able to attack Prime Minister Long, who had a slightly lower cultivation base than Prime Minister Long. Prime Minister Long didn't just stand there stupidly. His whole body was already covered with dragon scales. The heavenly dragon bloodline in his body was not bad, so he could still burst out a very strong heavenly dragon power. Heavenly Dragon Battle Art. Prime Minister Long looked up to the sky and roared. His power suddenly exploded as he raised his hand and waved his palm. A huge palm fell from the sky and fiercely pressed down on the lightning bolt. When many people saw this palm, their complexion changed because this was the Netherworld Divine Palm. The Netherworld Great Emperor's famous technique was released by Prime Minister Long just like that. This means that Prime Minister Long has a very close relationship with the Netherworld Great Emperor, otherwise, it would be impossible for him to practice the Netherworld Divine Palm. This overbearing palm was much stronger than the one released by the Netherworld Great Emperor's Phantom. This is the real Netherworld Divine Palm. It may be a little weaker than the Netherworld Great Emperor's, but the effect should not be that much worse. A layer of Netherworld aura floated above the huge palm, as if it came from hell, dragging all living creatures into the Netherworld. Boom! The two collided with each other, accompanied by a loud noise. The dazzling energy exploded in the air and rolled up a wave of air that spread in all directions. Many soldiers with low cultivation were pressed to the ground and couldn't move. Netherworld Divine Palm, you really are a spy of the Netherworld Great Empire. Ren Long roared after seeing this. He didn't think that Prime Minister Long would be a traitor, but he didn't think that Prime Minister Long would be a spy. He didn't think that Prime Minister Long would be a traitor at most. Who would have thought that Prime Minister Long was a spy? Chapter 413. Prime Minister Long's move completely exposed his identity. This was the effect that Yi Tianyun wanted. Although everyone knew that Prime Minister Long might have a relationship with the Netherworld Empire, they didn't know how deep their relationship was. But now, it seemed that Prime Minister Long's relationship with the Netherworld Empire was quite deep. He knew that this identity seemed meaningless, but at least he knew that Prime Minister Long wasn't forced to do this, but he was a big spy. It was not that the Heavenly Dragon Empire was unfair, it was the spy who came to sow discord. This made Prime Minister Long's heart waver. Some of them chose to follow Prime Minister Long because they were dissatisfied with the current situation of the Ren family and wanted Prime Minister Long to change everything. However, they didn't expect that Prime Minister Long was a spy, which meant that they would really work for the Netherworld Empire instead of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. They could accept cooperating with the Netherworld Empire, but they didn't want to be ruled by the Netherworld Empire. Originally, They thought that they would ask the Netherworld Empire for help and then give them some compensation so that the Heavenly Dragon Empire would still be theirs. Now, it seemed that he was too naive. In the future, the Sky Dragon would be changed to Hades. Suddenly, many of the generals stopped and didn't take the initiative to attack. Prime Minister Long, you lied to us. You are a man of the Netherworld Empire. Didn't you say that you would rebuild the Heavenly Dragon Empire? Yes, you lied to us. We believed that you, as a man of the Heavenly Dragon Empire, would change the status quo. But now, it seems that you are a spy of the Netherworld Empire. I don't want to fight anymore. I surrender. As soon as they were exposed, many generals immediately appeared to surrender. However, what welcomed them was a huge Netherworld divine palm. It pressed down fiercely with lightning speed and blasted on the bodies of their own generals. Boom! The generals who chose to surrender were blown away by the explosion. Prime Minister Long looked at them indifferently and in a blink of an eye, he cleaned up some of the traitors who wanted to surrender. Prime Minister Long didn't expect that he would be forced to use this move. The power of the lightning was too strong, it made him feel a sense of crisis. If he didn't use his strongest attack, he wouldn't be able to resist this move. But who knew that this move would expose him and let the people here know that he was a spy? We're all on the same boat. Those who surrender will die. Do you think that if you surrender, they will still choose to take you back? Prime Minister Long flew to the side, adjusted his aura, and looked at them coldly. Prime Minister Long's words hit their hearts. So what if they surrendered? How could they be put in an important position? Of course, this was impossible. They would never be put in an important position, and would even be monitored. Those who had rebelled would never be placed in an important position again, let alone be trusted. To put it bluntly, everything was over. If he could betray us this time, he could betray us next time. Therefore, we can't put him in an important position. These words were like a bucket of cold water pouring down on them, making their hearts turn cold. It seemed that there was no point in surrendering. If you put down your weapons and choose to surrender, I won't pursue the matter. Renlong's voice resounded through the entire region. He said in a powerful voice, "You are just bewitched by others. I know that you are still thinking for the Heavenly Dragon Empire. So as long as you choose to surrender, I will not pursue any matter with you. I will sincerely accept you back." Of course, Renlong would not let go of this opportunity. How could he not be happy to weaken a lot of their forces? He was indeed willing to accept their surrender, but it was impossible to put them in an important position in the future. However, he would still give them a certain amount of power and not completely banish them. How could this not arouse their hearts of betrayal? He still had to use some means. Renlong's words made many of the surrendered generals happy. Renlong's words were still very credible. Their eyes immediately flashed with hope. They were still willing to surrender. Whoever surrenders, I will be the first to kill him. Prime Minister Long's cold voice resounded through the battlefield, making those who wanted to surrender feel cold in their hearts, not daring to say half a word. Don't worry, you will be the first to die. Tianyun pulled the bowstring to its fullest, aimed at Prime Minister Long and released the Wrath of Ice. A thick ice arrow pierced through and bombarded the Prime Minister Long. He didn't hide his violent power at all. His combat power was as high as 60 million. The whole ice divine bow buzzed as it reached its limit. Tiny cracks appeared on the ice divine bow. If it continues to be used like this, it will be completely destroyed. Because 60 million combat power is already the limit, if it continues to increase, this weapon won't be able to withstand it, so a higher grade ice divine bow is needed. However, 60 million combat power is already quite heaven-defying. Prime Minister Long's face changed. He once again waved his palm, his power erupted to the extreme. He operated the Netherworld Divine Art and Netherworld Divine Palm, fiercely covering this side. His combat power directly exploded to more than 57 million, which can be regarded as his peak power. Shio! It suddenly pierced through the huge palm and bombarded Prime Minister Long's body. Boom! Prime Minister Long groaned as he was blown away. A large part of his body was frozen, but he quickly released the overbearing power of the Heavenly Dragon, trying to shatter the ice. But at this time, his face changed and his face darkened. Dragon killer poison. Prime Minister Long's face changed. He didn't expect that his opponent would have dragon killer poison. Tianyun knew that this attack couldn't kill Prime Minister Long in a second. If Prime Minister Long could be killed so easily, he wouldn't be Prime Minister Long. Therefore, he used the dragon killer poison. A lot of dragon killer poison had been dropped before, so he fused it with the frost arrow. After hitting it, the poison immediately seeped in and began to suppress Prime Minister Long's power. At this time, a beam of light suddenly rushed from behind him, wrapping around him. Everything happened so suddenly that he didn't know what happened. Unbeknownst to him, Grand Master had already appeared behind Tianyun and carried out a perfect sneak attack. Not far away, Grand Master floated in the air and looked over with a cold expression. There are actually two Grand Masters. However, Tianyun disappeared and reappeared behind Grand Master the next moment. The red dragon divine spear appeared in his hand and pierced towards Grand Master. Poochie! The red dragon divine spear penetrated Grand Master's body and lifted him in the air. Chapter 4:14. The Imperial Preceptor's sneak attack turned out to be the one being attacked. This sudden turn of events left many people unable to react. They all thought that Tianyun would be hit, but who would have thought that he would appear behind the Imperial Preceptor and counterattack? They didn't know how he did it. How is this possible? The Imperial Preceptor's eyes were filled with disbelief. The sneak attack had been so smooth and well concealed, but it still failed. Everything was too strange. In the blink of an eye, the enemy had arrived behind him and even used the red dragon spear to pierce through his body. Tianyun suddenly twisted the red dragon spear in his hand. A violent tyrannical spirit spread in all directions, shattering the Imperial Preceptor into several pieces. However, when he landed on the ground, he discovered that there was no trace of blood, only a few pieces of wood. Puppet art. Puppet art was a very mysterious ability that was linked to divine runes. It could be considered an extension. By carving divine runes on any object and inserting one's soul into it, one would be able to control it. Its strength was inferior to the user's, but it was superior in that it could be controlled at will. Moreover, it had no aura, making it hard to detect. To put it bluntly, the real Imperial Preceptor was still far away, and what Tianyun killed was only a puppet. Puppet art, no wonder I couldn't detect the slightest aura. I almost succeeded in my sneak attack. Tianyun's expression sank. When he was fighting with Long Zai, he didn't sense the approaching puppet at all. He only knew at the instant of the attack. At that time, the puppet had already arranged a grand formation and ruthlessly attacked him. Fortunately, he could teleport, or else he would have been hit. At this moment, the beam of light shot out and enveloped the area in front of them. Wherever it went, everyone was turned into ashes. The key thing was that there was also a sealing power within it. If they were hit by it, they might really be trapped. This power, could it be teleportation? In the distance, the Imperial Preceptor's heart was in a state of extreme shock. His meticulously planned scheme was destroyed just like that. However, his meticulously crafted puppet was destroyed just like that. His heart was bleeding. A tearing sensation came from his head, causing his complexion to turn even paler. Puppets were not easy to make. They required all kinds of precious materials and their own souls to make them. If the puppet died and that bit of soul was destroyed, he would also suffer a certain amount of damage to his soul, and the damage would still be very great. However, compared to the damage, he was more concerned about the teleportation. In an instant, he disappeared from where he was, allowing him to see everything clearly. How is this possible? I failed. Prime Minister Long, who was lying on the ground, was also filled with disbelief. He thought that everything went smoothly. As long as they could kill Tianyun easily, everything would be fine. Who would have thought that they would fail, a complete failure? Looks like it's time to end this. Tianyun's eyes turned cold. A black aura was released from his body. In the next moment, he turned into a 100-meter-long evil dragon and charged forward. The sudden change shocked everyone. When an even larger evil dragon appeared, It was as if the sky had been blocked from everyone's view, causing the entire area to be pitch black. So far, except for Rinlong, no one had seen him transform into this huge evil dragon. Therefore, when Renjiro saw Yi Tianyun transform into this evil dragon, she was deeply shocked, and her beautiful eyes widened. Their attacks paused for a moment, but they soon resumed their attacks, resisting the incoming enemies. Yi Tianyun let out a deafening dragon roar and pounced on Prime Minister Long, who was lying on the ground poisoned. With a flip of his dragon claw, he pressed it down on Prime Minister Long. The huge dragon claw was like a falling meteorite, stirring up waves of air in all directions, completely locking him in place, making it impossible for him to escape. Prime Minister Long's face turned pale, and he hurriedly climbed up to escape. After being poisoned by the dragon-slaying poison, his strength had been greatly reduced, and he was also hit by Yi Tianyun's attack. "State Preceptor, save me!" Prime Minister Long shouted in horror. His previous majesty had disappeared. Facing the fear of death, Prime Minister Long could only put down his pride and call for help. In the next moment, the Imperial Preceptor flew over and threw a few divine inscriptions at the incoming dragon claw. A large array quickly appeared in the air, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a huge barrier that enveloped the surroundings. Bang! When Yi Tianyun's dragon claw pressed down, it was slightly blocked. His huge dragon eyes flashed with a cold light. Bang! The dragon claw pressed down, and the indestructible shield was forcibly crushed. Then, the dragon claw continued to press down, and in less than a second, the seemingly sturdy shield was crushed just like that. It's not that the shield is too weak, but Yi Tianyun is too strong. When he goes all out, his combat power is as high as 78 million, which is the limit of his current combat power without burning his blood essence. This power is enough to crush everything, including the State Preceptor. He didn't want to continue to drag the battle. After exploring the real situation, he used his strongest state to suppress the enemy, officially ending the battle. The State Preceptor's face changed. The divine runes he threw out didn't even last for a breath of time. This power exceeded his expectations. However, he had already arrived at Prime Minister Long's side, hugged him, and quickly flew to the side. But the dragon claw has already covered them, and they can't escape this attack range at this moment. "Open for me!" The State Preceptor roared, and his whole body burst with golden light. The clothes that were originally covering his body suddenly turned into ashes, and then countless divine runes appeared on his body. Every divine rune shone with golden light, instantly activating this power. After stimulating the potential of all the divine runes, the power quickly increased, and the power suddenly exploded. A large part of his body swelled up, and his whole body doubled in size. From the original height of 1.8 meters, he suddenly became more than 3 meters tall, like a small giant. The swollen muscles looked very terrifying, but also very powerful. A long blade appeared in his hand, more than 3 meters long, and the thick blade was also engraved with divine runes. The long blade of the high-grade sacred tool appeared in his hand. He suddenly looked up, and his eyes were also branded with golden divine runes. He immediately held the long blade and swung it up. "God break!" Accompanied by a roar, a phantom of a martial god appeared behind him, holding a domineering long blade in his hand, and waved the long blade in his hand. "Ohm!" A blade light that was more than 10 meters long swept over like a bright moon. The domineering blade light burst out with energy that can cut through the void. Chapter 4:15. The domineering blade chi was like a sword slashed by the martial god, cutting through the sky. This can be said to be the Imperial Preceptor's full strength, layer upon layer, as high as 84 million combat power. It is really amazing. How can a full body of divine tools and divine runes be weak? Devour the heavens. Yi Tianyun didn't intend to dodge at all. He continued to press down with his dragon claw. A huge black hole appeared on his palm, devouring the energy in front of him, but the power that erupted from the Imperial Preceptor was too strong. He couldn't devour it at all. He could only devour a little bit of energy. The rest continued to slash upwards. Finally, the two clashed head-on. The domineering blade light rushed over and collided with the dragon claw that he pressed down. It made a gag sound, like the sound of metal colliding with metal. It was very ear-piercing. Lee Onion felt a tingling pain in his hand. The blade chi was about to break his defense, but he still pressed down, trying to crush the blade chi. It's just that this power is a lot stronger than his current strength. Even if his defense is amazing, he can't easily suppress it. When he wanted to burn his blood essence, a crisp sound rang in his ear. Ding! Congratulations to player Onion for successfully breaking through to the peak of core transformation stage. At this moment, his battle power suddenly soared from 78 million to 85 million. Just one level increased his combat power by 6 million. From the 9th level of core transformation stage to the peak of core transformation stage, his combat power increased by 750,000, then under the 8 times crazy mode, it instantly became 6 million. Superimposed on the original combat power, it became 5 million, completely overshadowing the Imperial Preceptor's attack. Explode for me! Boom! Eat Onion squeezed the blade chi with his dragon claw fiercely, and the blade chi was crushed by him, turning into a little starlight. But because of this buffering force, the Imperial Preceptor had already escaped to the side with Prime Minister Long. When he saw this scene, his heart trembled. Such a domineering move was crushed just like that, only leaving a slightly deep scar on the dragon claw. The whole dragon claw was not cut in half. It can be seen that the Imperial Preceptor has a strong defense. The effect of the Evil Dragon equipment set's 20-fold increase in defense was no joke, especially with the increase in his cultivation. If his cultivation didn't increase, and his Dragon God bloodline didn't strengthen, then the effect of 20 times wouldn't be very meaningful. This was like saying that if one's defense was only 1 point, then 20 times would be 20 points. It was completely meaningless. Hence, the reason why he was able to withstand this attack was largely due to Tianyun's improvement in cultivation. If his cultivation was slightly lower in the past, he would have been sliced into 2. As expected of the Imperial Teacher, I'm afraid that his strength is comparable to an ordinary 7th or 8th level Void Spirit stage expert. Tianyun turned his head to look at the Imperial Teacher, and his heart was filled with shock. Fighting someone of a higher cultivation realm required a wide variety of techniques. If one continued to stack up their techniques, their strength would increase significantly. Therefore, his initial judgment was the most inaccurate. If he didn't have more than 10 million battle power, then he would only be able to burst out 20 to 30 million battle power. If he burst out with all his battle power, it might even reach more than 50 to 60 million. For example, if he threw out a large number of sacred tools, how could his combat power not explode? Tianyun was shocked, but the other party was also shocked. In the close combat, the power of the two was immediately revealed, and the power of each other was so overbearing. This strength is too strong. Where did this freak come from? The Imperial Teacher's eyes turned cold, and immediately thought of something. So many Earth Dragons? Could it be that General Long and General Feng were killed by him? On the side, Prime Minister Long's face sank. Of course, he knew about this matter. So many Void Spirit stage experts were killed by this expert, and it's very likely that he was the one who killed them. Now that this expert is standing on the side of the Heavenly Dragon Empire, it's very likely that he was sent by the Heavenly Dragon Empire to help them. I didn't expect your Heavenly Dragon Empire to have such a trump card. This is our mistake. The Imperial Teacher's eyes turned cold. Everyone retreat. The Imperial Teacher had no choice but to retreat. Prime Minister Long was poisoned, and his battle power was tied with the Imperial Teacher, which meant that they lost. A draw is equal to a loss, especially for the attacking side. The other side has a dragon and a Heavenly Dragon secret treasure, so how can they win? They have no choice but to retreat. Under the command of the Imperial Teacher, all the soldiers quickly retreated, turned around, and ran away. It can be said that they can't run away as fast as they can. The soldiers who rushed out of the Imperial Teacher's camp were in a killing frenzy. Throw away your weapons, don't kill those who kneel on the ground. Those who don't surrender, kill them. Tianyun shouted, indicating that they should not run away, surrender if they can, and kill those who don't. Under the dragon's roar, many soldiers knelt on the ground, threw their weapons to the side, and no longer dared to run away. They don't want to die here. If they surrender, at least they can live, but if they don't surrender, it's really a dead end. Suddenly, a large number of soldiers knelt on the ground and no longer ran away. This is really a crushing defeat. Especially the words spoken by Yi Tianyun, with absolute majesty, made many people tremble in fear. They have all seen Yi Tianyun's power, so when he spoke, he must be afraid, especially the last sentence. No one would doubt that he can't do it. After shouting these words, Yi Tianyun turned his body and quickly chased after them, and said coldly, "Did I say you can go?" Letting these two escape is equivalent to letting a tiger return to the mountain. How can I let them escape? With a twist of his body, he instantly chased after them, and his speed is a bit faster than the Imperial teacher, mainly because he has the phoenix wings, which increase his speed more than twice, so naturally he can catch up. Even if he turns into an evil dragon, he can still have the phoenix wings, so there is no conflict. Almost in an instant, he caught up with them, opened his huge mouth, and spat out a black beam of light, penetrating forward. Damn it! Imperial Preceptor's face turned ugly as he used the Netherworld Divine Palm, which was much more powerful than Prime Minister Long's attack, but it was still too weak in the face of Yi Tianyun's attack. Yi Tianyun's palm was easily penetrated, and Imperial Preceptor were bombarded with Netherworld Divine Palm. Boom! The two fell from the sky, and with a bang sound, a big pit was created. Then, a figure bounced out of the big pit. It was the Imperial teacher. His body was eroded by the evil dragon chi, and looked dark. His body flickered with a golden light, as if he had ignited a divine talisman and covered his whole body. The next moment, his speed increased several times, and he instantly disappeared into the sky, leaving Prime Minister Long behind. Chapter 416. Heavenly Speed Divine Talisman. Yi Tianyun's face sank when he saw the Imperial Preceptor running away. He didn't expect the Imperial Preceptor to have a Heavenly Speed Divine Talisman. Only a Divine Rune Grandmaster can carve it. It can instantly increase the speed by several times. Although it can only last for a short time, it's enough for him to escape. However, this talisman has a big drawback. If it's used to escape, its speed will be reduced by half. Otherwise, the Imperial Preceptor wouldn't have left Prime Minister Long alone. If he continued to stay here, how could he save the Imperial Preceptor? "Brother Long, I will avenge you!" The Imperial Preceptor shouted and quickly disappeared into the sky. Before running away, he didn't forget to leave a sentence behind. It seems like they have a good relationship. However, at this critical moment, if he didn't do this, neither of them would be able to escape. After the Imperial Preceptor escaped, the dragon subduing flag that trapped Yi Tianyun's heavenly dragon lost its connection with it and fell to the ground. At this critical moment, the Imperial Preceptor didn't even have the chance to take away his treasures. At this moment, Prime Minister Long was lying in a big pit. His whole body was corroded by the evil dragon's power and to the dragon-slaying poison. He couldn't escape at all. Cough, cough, cough. Prime Minister Long coughed violently. Looking at Yi Tianyun falling from the sky, his eyes were filled with despair. I lost, he lost completely. He brought so many helpers, but most of them died here. Now that he couldn't escape, his heart was filled with despair. Yi Tianyun landed on the ground and walked step by step towards Prime Minister Long. He looked at him coldly. I wanted to kill you, but I think it's better to let Brother Ren deal with you. At this time, Ren Long, Ren Jiro, and the others flew over. They were covered in blood, and it was hard to tell if it was theirs or the enemy's. They had killed many generals, so they didn't just stand there and watch. Looking around, there were corpses everywhere, and the ground was dyed red with blood. They won the battle, but there wasn't much joy. Instead, there was pain. After all, most of them were originally from the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Although they were hateful, they were just cannon fodder. Dragon Soul Sky, to think that we treated you like a real uncle. I never thought that you would be a spy. You have caused great harm to our Heavenly Dragon Empire. Ren Long said coldly, Today is the day you die. I will use you as a sacrifice to the heavens, or I will let down all the souls of the heavenly dragon empire. Ha! All of you are too stupid, cough cough cough. Kill me, I have lost this time, however, the netherworld will not let you off. Prime Minister Long coughed up a lot of blood, but he still kept a smile on his face. My biggest mistake was that I misjudged your strength. I didn't expect you to have such a strong foreign aid. Cough cough cough. I'm not willing to lose. The Netherworld Empire had so many powerful forces, but they only brought an imperial preceptor with them, but they were all annihilated. Under normal circumstances, bringing the Grand Preceptor to deal with them was already a sign of respect. Who knew that there would be a Tianyun? Knowing one's enemy and oneself was the key to victory, but Prime Minister Long knew nothing about Tianyun. Who would have thought that there would be such a heaven-defying existence? No matter how many calculations he made, he still missed 1 point. Just this 1 point alone was enough to make them lose everything. Rest assured, even if the Netherworld Emperor does not let us off, I will not let him off either. I, Renlong, swear to the heavens that if I see the people of the Netherworld Empire, I will kill them without mercy. No matter how many come, I will kill them all. I will not accept any surrender, all of you must die. Renlong was completely furious. The Netherworld Empire's overbearing attitude made them tremble in fear. They even sent a spy to deceive them. After a meticulous plan, he had completely swindled their trust. This was the result, causing the Heavenly Dragon Empire to fall into a crisis, and it had even declined. As Prime Minister Long said, they were stupid. Renlong admitted that from today onwards, he will strengthen his forces to deal with the Netherworld Empire. Kill as many as you can? What a big tone. The power of the Netherworld Empire is beyond your imagination. Prime Minister Long grinned and laughed. In the face of impending death, he didn't care about his own life anymore. Pucci, a beam of sword light pierced down, piercing his body. It was Renlong's attack. Don't worry, no matter how powerful the Netherworld Empire is, I will sacrifice my life to become the enemy of the Netherworld Empire. I will kill every last one of my soldiers to resist the Netherworld Empire. Renlong said coldly as he released the majesty of a great emperor. Then, with a slash to the side, Prime Minister Long's head was completely separated from his body. His eyes were wide open as he died with grievances. Ding! Successfully killed Prime Minister Long, reward, 64 million EXP, 50. 000 CPS, 5. 000 SBS. Reward, Netherworld Divine Art, Netherworld Divine Palm. Reward, Dragon God Bloodline, 4th grade, Heavenly Dragon Battle Armor, High Grade Sacred Tool, Heavenly Dragon Divine Sword, High Grade Sacred Tool, Heavenly Dragon Battle Boots, High Grade Sacred Tool, Netherworld Sutra, Rare, Netherworld Passage Map, Rare. A lot of things dropped at once, and the EXP was stacked to the point of exploding, but there was no reward. Obviously, the system felt that Prime Minister Long's cultivation wasn't strong enough, so there was no reward. At this time, the surroundings were very quiet, and a large number of soldiers were looking at them. Clean up the Netherworld Empire's soldiers. Renlong said coldly. Run! At this time, the Netherworld Empire's soldiers ran away. Even if they weren't the masterminds of the Netherworld Empire and were just cannon fodder, they still had to be killed. Especially since the Netherworld Empire's soldiers had killed a lot of their people. For a time, screams could be heard, and the large-scale killing continued. But it didn't last long. All the Netherworld Empire's soldiers were cleaned up, and all that was left was a pile of corpses. Ding! Successfully completed, helped the Empire's goddess resist Prime Minister Long's invasion. Reward, 50 million EXP, 100. 000 CPS, 50 Imperial Favorability. Reward, successfully killed Prime Minister Long, doubled. Ding! Reward, 100 million EXP, 2000. 000 CPS, 100 Imperial Favorability. All of a sudden, his stats doubled, and he had accumulated 100 million EXP. In the blink of an eye, he only had a few tens of millions of EXP left to level up. This leveling speed was simply astonishing. At this rate, it wouldn't be difficult to break through to Void Spirit stage. Chapter 417. The war finally calmed down. The Heavenly Dragon Empire had won. This news spread throughout the Heavenly Dragon continent. It even spread to the Heavenly Boundary continent and the Nether continent. They were all shocked. Especially under the leadership of the Imperial Teacher, the Heavenly Dragon Empire and the Netherworld continent were shocked. The Imperial Teacher was the second strongest person in the Netherworld Empire, but he was still defeated. What kind of power did the Heavenly Dragon Empire have? However, there was still a lot of shocking news. For example, there were 3 people who could control the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure, and one of them could turn into a dragon. The more it spread, the more exaggerated it became. In the end, it was said that there were dozens of people who could control the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure, and they even had the support of the Dragon Clan. The Heavenly Dragon Empire had become a legend. It was exaggerated to say that the Heavenly Dragon Empire was much stronger than the Netherworld Empire and that it would be easy for the Netherworld Empire to suppress it. These words were exaggerated enough to make the Netherworld Empire explode in anger. In fact, he was furious. After the Imperial Advisor returned, the Netherworld Emperor was thoroughly enraged. He was 10 times, or even 100 times more furious than before. Little brother Long is dead? The Netherworld Great Emperor was extremely furious. He clenched his fists and his heart was filled with anger. The terrifying power released from his body was the best proof. It could be said that he had suppressed his power to the extreme, and there was still a bit of it leaking out. The ground around him was shaken by this terrifying power, causing cracks to appear and debris to fly. Otherwise, the surrounding area would have exploded from the pressure. The people below were terrified. They hadn't seen the Netherworld Great Emperor so angry in a long time. Yes, it's my fault. The enemy was too strong. I couldn't resist his attack even if I used all my strength. The Imperial Preceptor's face was pale and looked even paler than before. Especially from his aura, it was obvious that he was much weaker than before. You couldn't resist him even if you used all your strength? The Netherworld Emperor was surprised. He knew how strong the Imperial Teacher was. If the Imperial Teacher couldn't resist him, it meant that the enemy was much stronger than him. Yes, but it's mostly because I wasn't prepared. I was careless and my soul was injured. Otherwise, I would have brought Brother Long back. The Imperial Teacher was ashamed. He sighed deeply. His eyes were full of shame, but he did try his best. I know. It seems like I have to go personally. The Netherworld Emperor stood up and said angrily, "Your Majesty, you can't do this. If you go personally, we will be in chaos." The Imperial Teacher's face changed. But who can avenge Brother Long? Netherworld Great Emperor's eyes are filled with killing intent. He is my younger brother. My younger brother is dead. How can I face him if I don't avenge him? Prime Minister Long was the younger brother of the Netherworld Great Emperor. If this news spread out, it would definitely set off a great uproar. Sending a spy, but it turned out to be the younger brother of the Netherworld Great Emperor. You must suppress it. You are only one step away from obtaining the power of the Nether Dragon. As long as you can obtain this power, the Heavenly Dragon Empire will be a piece of cake. Imperial Preceptor advised. Just a little bit more, Great Emperor, don't be impulsive. Your Majesty, as long as you break through the dragon power, the Netherworld Emperor, the Netherworld will. One by one, the ministers began to persuade the Netherworld Great Emperor to not act rashly. Damn it, Brother Long. The Netherworld Emperor shook his head and said in a deep voice, "If Brother Long didn't say that he wanted to bring back the Heavenly Dragon Empire in one piece, I would have personally led the Netherworld army to kill them. Even the Heavenly Dragon Empire can't resist my Netherworld army." Now they were all silent. Prime Minister Long had sneaked in to take down the Heavenly Dragon Empire in one piece. The Netherworld Empire was very strong, but if they conquered the Heavenly Dragon Empire, they would also become half-crippled, which was very disadvantageous to the Netherworld Empire. That was why they came up with this plan. Who knew that an unforeseen event would occur, causing most of them to die there? It was truly shocking. Who would have thought? Everyone thought that their plan was perfect, and they all thought that the Heavenly Dragon Empire didn't have any powerful forces, and they thought that they could conquer it at any time. In reality, a super expert appeared out of nowhere, and it was a super expert who could fight against everyone. We have neglected this point, but this time we will not neglect it. As long as the Great Emperor obtains the power of the Nether Dragon, everything will be fine. Not to mention the Heavenly Dragon Empire, even the surrounding empires will be in your pocket. At that time, you will become a fifth-grade divine kingdom without any pressure. The Imperial Preceptor's eyes were full of excitement and expectation. Divine kingdom! The Netherworld Great Emperor's eyes were full of yearning. After reaching the level of divine kingdom, they would enter a whole new realm. But they had only heard about this realm and they didn't know much about it. Because the divine kingdom wasn't located in this area, but in the sky. Alright, when we are fully prepared, and when I obtain the power of the Nether Dragon, I will conquer the Heavenly Boundary Continent and the Heavenly Dragon Empire. The Netherworld Great Emperor's eyes were shining with anticipation. While the Imperial Preceptor was planning everything, Tianyun had already cleaned up the corpses outside. The mission here was already completed, and there was no other mission. There is no chain mission? What a pity! Ji-Ro didn't become the Divine Lady. Tianyun frowned. Ji-Ro could only be regarded as a princess. But there was no mission, and it didn't matter whether she was the Divine Lady or not. It was very likely that she would become the Divine Lady in the future, and Renlong would pass the throne to her. Brother Yi, what are you doing here? Renlong walked out of the hall and saw Tianyun standing outside the palace, so he walked over and asked, "It's nothing, I'm just here to take a look." Finally, everything is back to normal. Tianyun smiled. Yes, everything is back to normal. I don't know if the Netherworld Great Emperor will personally lead the army here, but no matter how many people come, we will deal with them. Renlong smiled, and his eyes were full of gratitude. If it wasn't for you, we would have fallen. You are really the savior of our Heavenly Dragon Empire. I feel that even without me, the Heavenly Dragon Empire can still hold on, right? Tianyun's eyes flashed. It can still hold on, but there is a price to pay. For example, my life. Renlong smiled and said, "If one day I am gone, can you become the great emperor of the Heavenly Dragon Empire?" Brother Ren, you can't say such things. How can anything happen to you? Tianyun shook his head. It's hard to say. I'm just saying in advance that you are more qualified to become the great emperor. I don't have the ambition to become the great emperor. I prefer to explore the world without any worries. Renlong looked at Tianyun and said firmly, "Brother Yi, can you agree to my request?" Chapter 418. Tianyun was stunned by Renlong's request. He didn't expect Renlong to dislike being the great emperor so much. There were many people who wanted to sit in this position, but Renlong didn't want to continue sitting in this position. He wanted to travel around the world. Renlong had to admit that exploring the outside world was more exciting. There was no freedom in this place. There was no freedom in this place. I'm afraid I won't be able to comply. In fact, I'm not too keen on these things. It's better to let Ji-Ro do it. As the Divine Lady, she can manage the Heavenly Dragon Empire properly. Tianyun pushed the responsibility to Ren-Ji-Ro. Oh, I almost forgot. There's still my little sister. Renlong's eyes lit up. Alright, I'll talk to her. With her current prestige, becoming the Divine Lady won't be a problem. Let her become the Divine Lady first. After succeeding the throne, she can slowly manage this place. When everything calms down, I can leave this place and travel around. Tianyun shrugged helplessly. Is this how a great emperor should act? No wonder he said that as long as someone was capable enough, he would give up the position of great emperor. This guy didn't want to be the great emperor at all. Of course he was willing to say such words. The Ren family's empire was given away just like that. What a wastrel. Brother Ren, is this really okay? Tianyun felt helpless. There's nothing wrong with it. I've always liked to travel around the world. Exploring the outside world is full of dangers. This way, I can become stronger. Renlong said in a deep voice, "What I pursue is the endless world of martial arts, not this world of power." Just like Brother E, power and authority are all bullshit in front of you. This was the kind of feeling he yearned for. All schemes and plots were futile in front of him, and he could kill anyone who stood in his way with a single punch. If one punch can't solve it, then 2 punches. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble Ji-ro. Lee Tianyun felt helpless. But he also thought of Shi Shuayun, his aunt. His heart warmed. Wasn't she also cultivating her own forces for his own safety? This is indeed unfair to her. If she doesn't want to do it, then she won't do it. It's just the position of a god monarch. What's so great about it? Rinlong shrugged nonchalantly. If his parents were here, they would surely give him a tight slap. All right. Lee Tianyun could only reply like this. All right, I'll go talk to my little sister first. Rinlong smiled and turned around to look for Renjiro. Suddenly, he remembered something and said, "Oh, right, I almost forgot to tell you. Su Fei, who was with you before, went to the Qin family. Young people these days are so hot-blooded. He was so brave on the battlefield. After the battle, he left without saying goodbye. I think he's trying to avoid you." Lee Tianyun narrowed his eyes and pondered for a while. During the battle, Su Fei didn't hide somewhere and cultivate. Instead, he fought bravely and valiantly. Moreover, he fought at the very front. He had been able to observe Su Fei's situation from afar, but Su Fei had quickly left after the battle without looking for him. As Rinlong said, it was very likely that Su Fei was trying to avoid him. This kid is thinking too much. Lee Tianyun suddenly smiled as if he had understood something. It's not that he's thinking too much, it's just that the disparity in status and strength is too great. He felt that he couldn't help you, so he didn't dare to continue to approach you. Rinlong patted Lee Tianyun's shoulder and said with a smile, "He is indeed good. He led a small team to fight bravely. Brother, you have a good eye." After saying that, Rinlong left and didn't continue to stay. Lee Tianyun's eyes flashed. It was almost time for him to go back to the Heavenly Clouds mansion, but before that, he had to find Su Fei to go with him. Qin family? It seems to be lively. I have to go and have a look. Lee Tianyun smiled and disappeared from the hall. After the war, the Heavenly Dragon Empire had not suffered many losses, so everything was the same as before. Everything was still going on, and the whole nation was celebrating. The Qin family's situation was the same. Everything was the same as usual. However, at this time, a figure came to the Qin family's gate. Before the guards could react, someone shouted at the Qin family, "Qin Shui, I'm here to pick you up." He shouted very loudly, and even the entire Qin clan heard him. Many people rushed out from inside, and when they saw Su Fei outside, their faces were filled with anger. "You brat, you still don't want to give up. Our master said before that eldest miss can't marry you. She has decided to marry the young master of the Fu family." An elder of the Qin family came out and glared at him. "Go where you should go. If you weren't the young master of the Su family, you would have already kicked us out. Qin Shui, I'm here to pick you up." Su Fei ignored them and continued to shout. "You brat, it seems like you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. If I don't beat you up, I won't know what I should do." An elder of the Qin family came out of the gate angrily. Just when he was about to beat Su Fei up, a shout came from inside. "Second elder, please stop." At this time, a beautiful woman came out. She might not be a stunning beauty, but she looked very delicate. She belonged to the type that was more and more beautiful to look at. Xiao Shui. When Su Fei saw the woman coming out, his eyes were filled with surprise. "Brother Su." Qin Shui's beautiful eyes flashed with tears, but she was still worried. "Why are you here, Xiao Shui? I can't wait anymore. If the Qin family marries you to the Fu family, it will be too late for me." Su Fei said in a deep voice. "This time, I am sure that I can marry you." "Really?" Qin Shui's beautiful eyes revealed a look of surprise. Her heart couldn't help but speed up a bit. "What a joke! How can you be sure that you can marry our eldest miss?" The second elder sneered. "You don't have talent, you don't have status. Even in the Su family, your status is very low. Now let me ask you, what qualifications do you have? I am willing to use this treasure to exchange for it." Suddenly, Su Fei brought out a pearl. When everyone saw it, they were immediately taken aback. It was a low-grade sacred artifact. It was quite a decent treasure. This is a low-grade sacred artifact, the Holy Spirit's pearl. If you use it to cultivate, it can double your cultivation speed. I originally wanted to keep it for my own use, and when my cultivation is not low, I will come back to marry you. Now, I am willing to use this treasure as a betrothal gift to marry Xiao Shui. Double the speed of cultivation, this is really a good sacred artifact. Most people don't have this kind of treasure. This is a treasure that only void spirit stage cultivators can have. Many people are very tempted. A little interesting, this kid's luck is not bad. He got this treasure. A figure appeared in the corner, watching the whole process. He didn't appear immediately. He wanted to see how Su Fei would take down Qin Shui. It can be seen that both of them love each other. This is the only way to help. If it is forced, even if he thinks highly of Su Fei, he will not choose to help. Now that Su Fei is a general that he thinks highly of, he must help when necessary, with King Yi's identity. Chapter 419. The Holy Spirit's pearl was a very good betrothal gift. If it was a normal family, they wouldn't be able to refuse it. Sacred tools were very rare, and most of them were at the void spirit stage. Most families didn't even have a void spirit stage powerhouse, so this thing was definitely qualified to be used as a betrothal gift. That was especially true for treasures. They were much more precious than the average sacred artifacts. No wonder Su Fei said that he was confident that he could use this Holy Spirit's pearl as a betrothal gift. The effect of this thing was amazing, and he was willing to give it to Qin Shui. One could imagine how much he loved Qin Shui. This is a sacred treasure. The second elder's face changed. He didn't expect that Su Fei would take out such a precious gift. One should know that this was a treasure that even the head of the Su family couldn't take out, but Su Fei took it out. It was really shocking. The other elders who came out with Su Fei saw this and their faces changed. Their eyes were filled with greed. This was also a great benefit for them. It could double their cultivation speed. How could they not want it? Yes, this is a sacred treasure. If I use this Holy Spirit's pearl, I will be able to break through much faster than ordinary people. It won't be difficult for me to break through to the core transformation stage. Su Fei raised the Holy Spirit's pearl in his hand and looked at Qin Shui. But recently, I heard that you are planning to marry Xiao Shui to the Fu family immediately. Just because the Fu family has made a lot of contributions this time, you want to let Xiao Shui marry to the Fu family immediately. But Xiao Shui is not a commodity, and she is not a tool for your marriage. If you really want something as compensation, I will use this Holy Spirit's pearl to make up for your loss. Su Fei's words were sonorous and powerful. His eyes were full of divine light. He would rather give up the Holy Spirit's pearl for Qin Shui to be with him. Qin Shui covered her mouth with her hand. She didn't want to be a tool for the marriage. She only wanted to be with Su Fei. But she couldn't decide her own marriage. This is not enough. At this time, a handsome middle-aged man walked out. Qin Shui's appearance was similar to his. Obviously, he was the head of the Qin family, Qin Long. Father. Qin Shui saw Qin Long come out and stood aside in fear. Qin Long didn't even look at her. He looked at Su Fei with a burning gaze and said in a low voice, "The Holy Spirit pearl is not bad, but what do you think is the main factor that allows a family to prosper? Treasures are one thing, but the most important thing is support. You might be able to give us treasures that are more precious than the betrothal gifts given by the Fu family, but you can't protect us because your cultivation is too low. Unless your cultivation is very strong, at least at the core transformation stage. It would have been fine if the Su family had given you their full support, but now that the Su family has abandoned you, do you still think you have the right to marry my daughter?" Qin Long's words were like a sharp thorn that pierced into his heart. Qin Long's heart. Qin Long needed Qin Spirit's pearl. Holy Spirit's bead was good, but if he didn't have the sex king gift. Spirits of treasure. Qin, but if not, people, to Antlican sect, like. If Qin Shui married into the Fu family, her status wouldn't be low. Therefore, she would be able to help the Qin family. This was what Qin Long needed. Qin Shui's status would not be low if she married into the Fu family. This was the real intention of the Qin family. Su Fei was silent. His eyes were red and he gritted his teeth. Su Fei fell silent. His eyes were red and he gritted his teeth. He had thought that he could marry Qin Shui by relying on the heavenly spirit's pearl, but it seemed like he was too naive. Give me some time, I will definitely have the power to protect the Qin family. Su Fei gritted his teeth and said, Give me some time? How many years? 5 years? 10 years? Qin Long sneered. It will be too long. I will marry Qin Shui and you will see the results immediately. Unless you can convince the Su family to fully support you and have a position in the family, I will let Qin Shui marry you. But do you have the status now? Which brother is not stronger than you? You have no right to speak, otherwise you wouldn't have run away from the marriage. You are so useless. Qin Long shook his head and looked at Su Fei as if he was looking at a piece of trash. Father, if Brother Su didn't save me, I would have died outside. Qin Shui glared at her father and shouted hysterically, You promised me to give Brother Su some time. I didn't expect you to go back on your words. Shut up. Qin Long snorted, It's one thing for him to save you, but I won't allow you to marry a piece of trash who can't bring any benefits to the Qin family. Calling Su Fei a piece of trash was an insult to Su Fei. Su Fei, you really are here. At this time, a group of people came from afar. The leader was the Su family's patriarch, Su Ji. Behind him were Su Fei's brothers. When they saw the Holy Spirit's bead in Su Fei's hand, they were stunned for a moment before greed appeared in their eyes. Is this a sacred item? Su Ji was pleasantly surprised. When did you get it? Father, this is my betrothal gift to the Qin family. Su Fei said, Father, please support me and let me marry the young lady of the Qin family. Are you an idiot? This is a sacred item. If you give it to your brother, you can marry any woman you want. Su Ji said coldly, Hurry up and come back with me. It's not worth it to use this sacred item to exchange for a woman. Patriarch Su, are you saying that my daughter is not worth a sacred item? Qin Long was immediately angered. Isn't that for sure? If you have the ability, why don't you take out a sacred item and let me see? Su Ji sneered, blocking Qin Long's words. Qin Long indeed couldn't take out a sacred item. The Qin family didn't have a sacred item. They wanted a sacred item, but they wanted the Fu family's support even more. The patriarchs of the two families quarreled, but Su Fei's eyes were still filled with sorrow and anger. He didn't expect his father to not support him and even wanted to take away his sacred item for his brother to use. One had to know that he risked his life to get this sacred item back, but now he was going to give it away. Although he wasn't an outsider, his words were infuriating. As expected, there was no place for him in the Su family. Out of so many brothers, he was the weakest, so it was natural that he was abandoned. Don't just stand there, come back with me and give me this sacred item. Su Ji snatched it, but Su Fei quickly dodged, not letting his father snatch it. You dare to dodge, believe it or not, I'll beat you to death. Su Ji said coldly, This is what I obtained, why should I give it away? Su Fei glared at them and said, From today onwards, I'm no longer a member of the Su family. After saying that, he turned around and wanted to escape, but soon the Su family members surrounded him, blocking his escape route. Even if you're not a member of the Su family, you still have to hand over the sacred item. Su Ji stretched out his hand and looked at him coldly. Su Fei's eyes were filled with sorrow. He didn't expect that in the end, the ones who forced him to his death would be his own family. Chapter 420. A figure walked out from the crowd and attracted everyone's attention. The tone of the voice was not harsh, but the content of the voice was very domineering. Many people turned their heads to look. Su Ji and the others glared angrily, wanting to see who was so arrogant. When Qin Long and the others looked over, they were immediately stunned, not daring to believe their eyes. After blinking a few times, their eyes were filled with shock. Prince. When they saw Yi Tianyun, they couldn't help but shout. Yi Tianyun's identity was known to everyone. Who didn't know that the person who repelled the Netherworld Empire was Tianyun? If it wasn't for him, the entire Heavenly Dragon Empire would have fallen. The Fu family's contribution was nothing but a pile of shit in front of him. When Su Fei saw Tianyun, he was stunned for a moment. He immediately lowered his head and didn't dare to look at Tianyun. Tianyun walked towards Su Fei step by step. The people in front of him made way for him. Tianyun patted Su Fei's shoulder and said, "Why didn't you tell me if you were in trouble? Big brother, the gap between us is too big. I thought I could help you, but I realized that I'm not worthy." Su Fei lowered his head and said, "There's no such thing as worthy. If I think you're capable, then you're capable. If you think you're weak, then you're really weak. If you don't have confidence, then how can you talk about success?" Tianyun smiled. "Can I really help Big Brother E?" Su Fei raised his head, his eyes filled with surprise. "Of course you can. Otherwise, why would I give you a fortune?" Tianyun smiled and said, "This time I came to take you away. I didn't expect this to happen. Sometimes, I do feel very powerless, powerless without power, powerless without background." "Yes." Su Fei sighed. This was a huge blow to him. "That's why I have to work harder and make myself stronger. Only then will I be able to change everything." Tianyun patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Sometimes connections are indeed the key. Qin family head is right, but now you have connections, what are you afraid of?" The conversation between the two of them left everyone dumbfounded. Su Fei actually knew King Yi, and their relationship seemed to be quite good. Did King Yi recognize him? Tianyun looked up at Qin Long and said indifferently, "Didn't you say that Su Fei has no background? I'm his backer now. Is that enough?" "Enough's enough." Qin Long felt his legs go soft. He quickly half-knelt on the ground and said, "Welcome, Your Highness." "Welcome, welcome, Your Highness." At this moment, the surrounding people all knelt down in unison in fear and trepidation, especially those from the Su clan. Their hearts skipped a beat. He didn't expect that Su Fei would be acquainted with the prince, and their relationship was quite good. They all knew about Tianyun's situation. He was facing the entire empire alone, and everyone was afraid of him. With just a little anger, a family could be easily trampled to the ground. "You don't have to kneel. Get up." Tianyun waved his hand at Qin Shui and said with a faint smile, "Why aren't you coming over?" Qin Shui was stunned. When she looked at Su Fei beside her, she bit her lips and quickly jogged over, throwing herself into his arms. Qin Long didn't even dare to stop her. This was the difference in status, and this was the backer. Su Fei deeply understood the difference in power. He was even more determined to become stronger. If he didn't become stronger, he wouldn't have any right to speak at all. "After I go back, I'll tell the emperor about the situation and take good care of the Qin clan." Tianyun said indifferently, "You all just think that you've offended the emperor by staying neutral. That's not wrong. You want to marry into the Fu clan to appease the emperor and not eradicate you all. This is indeed a good idea, and the truth is more or less the same. Even if you marry into the Fu clan, are you sure the Fu clan has the power to do that?" This. Qin Long was embarrassed. Tianyun's words hit the nail on the head. This was what Qin Long didn't say. The treasure was indeed good, but they had committed a great taboo. If they wanted to stay here, they had to clear their name. Staying neutral seemed good, but they had offended both sides at the same time. This was even worse. Therefore, they wanted to plead through the Fu clan, but it was obviously meaningless. Renlong didn't buy it at all. This time, the Fu clan had done a meritorious deed, but it was only a small part of it. The real meritorious deed was Tianyun, not the Fu clan. "I'll talk to the emperor. You can rest assured. In the future, as long as the Qin clan doesn't rebel and doesn't do anything, you can live peacefully in the Heavenly Dragon Empire." Tianyun said indifferently, "Can I bring my people away now?" Yes, you can." When Qin Long heard the result he wanted, he immediately beamed with joy. His daughter said she would send them away. The key was to marry Su Fei, and Su Fei seemed to want to follow Tianyun. Wouldn't the Qin clan be happy? "The two of you leave with me, there's no need to stay here," Tianyun said to Su Fei and the others. "Yes, big brother." Su Fei stared at Yi Tianyun's back with a firm gaze, as if he has made up his mind. When they were about to leave, Su Ji hurriedly shouted, "Su Fei, our Su clan will always open the door for you, and wait for you to come back." "No need, I won't go back," Su Fei said coldly. Even if it was his own father, he wouldn't give him any face. Su Ji's face was very ugly, and his intestines were green with regret. Who would have thought that this kind of situation would occur? How could her worst son be acquainted with the prince? The more he thought about it, the more he was depressed, and he wanted to vomit blood. "Are you sure you won't go back?" Yi Tianyun asked. "I won't go back. Ever since he killed my mother, I hate him," Su Fei said coldly. "I'd rather not recognize him as my father." "So that's what you mean?" Yi Tianyun shook his head. As a family head, it's normal to have 3 wives and 4 concubines, but if there are too many wives and too many children, it will lead to an uneven distribution. When they didn't go far, Su Fei suddenly knelt down, and Qin Shui next to him also knelt down. "Big brother Su Fei, will follow you forever, no matter what you ask me to do, even if it's against the heavens, I will do it. My life will belong to Big brother Yi from now on," Su Fei said with determination. Qin Shui didn't say anything, but it was obvious that if she married a chicken, she would follow the chicken. If she married a dog, she would follow the dog. She would follow whatever Su Fei did. Dane, successfully subdued an absolutely loyal general. Increase commander point by 100 points. With the improvement of cultivation, you can continue to gain EXP, never stop. When you kill an enemy, you can get corresponding rewards, including EXP, Crazy Point, and Sin Point. Accompanied by the crisp sound, Tianyun was stunned. Is there really such a thing? Loyal General, in the future, he can get EXP when he improves his cultivation? Killing an enemy can also get EXP? Isn't this the same as a pet? Chapter 421. The system also added a commander reward, which was quite amazing. He didn't expect that he could get beheading EXP. When his forces fought for him, it was already good enough for him to get overall EXP. Now, the commander system was equivalent to a pet. He could constantly get EXP, and after leveling up, he could also get EXP as a reward. It was really unexpected. It was even better than a pet. He wouldn't get anything from leveling up, nor would he think on his own. He needed to be the one controlling it. The only way to level up was to rely on the commander's help. He saw that Su Fei's favorability towards him had disappeared. There was an infinite sign, which meant that he didn't need the favorability anymore. Su Fei was absolutely loyal to him, so why would he need favorability? They completely obeyed his orders and were at his beck and call. Even if they had to climb a mountain of blades or plunge into a sea of flames, there would be no problem. Although Shi Shuiyun and the others were willing to sacrifice their lives for him, it didn't mean that they were his subordinates, so this situation wouldn't happen. Su Fei was his first subordinate, which was why he knew of such a situation. It seems that if I collect more generals, it will be more helpful for me to level up. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up, especially the reward for leveling up. It was equivalent to a training system. He could see the reward every time, and it would never stop. Although he didn't know how much the reward would be, he believed that it would definitely be a lot. However, it was not easy to collect generals like him. Immediately, Tianyun smiled and motioned them to get up. Okay, now whether it is the Qin family or the Su family, there is no place for you. If you are willing to follow me, then you will have to join Heavenly Cloud's mansion. Heavenly Cloud's mansion? They were a little confused as they had never heard of this Heavenly Cloud's mansion. Yes, Heavenly Cloud's mansion. Yi Tianyun smiled and took off the mask on his face, revealing his true face. When they were shocked, he put it back on. Heavenly Cloud's mansion is a force that I built, and Heavenly Clouds is my name. My real name is Yi Tianyun. That was my real face just now. This, Big brother Yi, you are really young, even younger than me. Su Fei smiled bitterly as he didn't expect that Yi Tianyun's true face would be so young. Not many people know my true face, but I don't want to wear this mask anymore. Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently. He is strong enough. Naturally, he doesn't need to wear a mask. Then, under his lead, they returned to the royal city and briefed Renlong and the others on the matter, as well as the plan they had come up with. Renlong and the others listened to Yi Tianyun's plan and joined him to deal with the Netherworld Empire. Yi Tianyun originally wanted to deal with the Netherworld, so it was to have a few more forces to join him. After the discussion, Yi Tianyun led Su Fei and the others to Heavenly Cloud's mansion, while Renlong and the others stayed in the mansion and waited for Yi Tianyun's arrival. Yi Long and the antennae that Yi to the sect to the eat the war. To him, the main reason why so many experts came was to defend against the enemies that surrounded them, not to kill their way into the enemy's midst. Soon, they returned to the Heavenly Cloud's mansion. When they landed, Yi Tianyun had already taken off his mask. Soon, they returned to Heavenly Cloud's mansion. When they landed from the sky, he had already taken off his mask, so there was no need to hide anything. When the people of Heavenly Cloud's mansion saw a giant dragon descending from the sky, they looked at it in shock. How could they not be shocked when a giant dragon suddenly appeared out of nowhere? But when they saw that it was Yi Tianyun, they relaxed their vigilance. "Auntie, we are back," Yi Tianyun said as he walked in with Su Fei. "Hey, we brought back a man and a woman this time." "I thought we brought back a group of people," Shi Shuiyun said with a smile when she saw Yi Tianyun came back safely. "I wanted to bring back a group of people, but I didn't bring back a group of people this time." Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. "He is Su Fei, the first general of Heavenly Cloud's mansion from now on. He will be the vanguard of the Heavenly Cloud's mansion." Yi Tianyun was flattered that Su Fei was appointed as the first general of Heavenly Cloud's mansion. However, he didn't refuse. Instead, he showed a serious expression and said that he would do his best. "That's not a problem. What are we going to do now?" Shi Shuiyun asked. "Summon all the disciples and prepare to fly the heavens immersing ancient ruins to Heavenly Border Continent." Yi Tianyun said solemnly. "We will officially fly to Heavenly Border Continent and merge with Heaven's top mansion." "Isn't that equivalent to exposing us?" Shi Shuiyun was surprised. The other elders who came with them were also surprised when they heard the news. "Don't worry, it will happen sooner or later. Everything is under control," Yi Tianyun said with a smile. "Tell the spirit race old ancestor to prepare the flying grand array." "No problem." Shi Shuiyun and the others didn't hesitate and immediately followed Yi Tianyun's order. Soon after the spirit race old ancestor received the news, he didn't hesitate and immediately activated the flying grand array. The whole mountain emitted a bright light, followed by a rumbling sound, as if an earthquake is about to happen. Immediately, the whole surface of the mountain cracked, accompanied by a bang sound. A temple rushed out of the mountain and flew high into the sky. An incomparably huge shrine floated in the air just like that. Especially since the shrine had been expanded, it looked incomparably shocking. "Very good, there is no problem, then fly to Heavenly Border Continent now." Yi Tianyun gave the order. The spirit race old ancestor in the flying grand array began to operate madly. The whole temple once again bloomed with dazzling light, turning into a round sun, flying towards Heavenly Border Continent. The speed is not very fast, but also not very slow. It only takes a few days to reach Heavenly Border Continent smoothly. It's just that flying along the way will be very conspicuous. How many people have seen a flying palace before? At most, they have seen flying demon beasts. Almost none of them have seen a flying palace. In fact, flying palaces are not unusual in fourth-grade forces, they are quite common. Under normal circumstances, the palace will not move unless the chosen place is destroyed or the spiritual vein is exhausted, otherwise it will not move. Chapter 422. The news of a huge palace flying to the Heavenly Border Continent immediately caused a sensation in the Earthly Border Continent. It even spread to the Heavenly Border Continent, causing a lot of people to talk about it. What kind of force could have such a powerful background and a flying palace? However, this matter wasn't as shocking as the Netherworld Empire's defeat at the hands of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. They were just curious about it, but they didn't feel particularly shocked. The Netherworld Empire didn't have time to inquire about this matter. If they knew that the master of Heavenly Cloud's mansion was King Yi who killed their Prime Minister Long, they would definitely attack. Yi Tianyun's identity was very secretive. The identity of the Black Dragon was rarely exposed in the past, but most of the time, it was only known to the disciples of Heavenly Cloud's mansion, so the Netherworld Empire wouldn't be able to find out anything. Because of this, Yi Tianyun brazenly let the Heavenly Cloud's mansion fly to the Heavenly Border continent. The Netherworld Empire didn't have time to occupy it, so it was a completely safe place. After flying for a few days, the heavens immersing ancient ruins quickly flew to the heaven's top mansion. Yi Tianyun chose an open space on the side and landed heavily on it, making a bang sound. Many disciples of Heaven's top mansion rushed out to watch, including the elders of Heaven's top mansion, but the Great Elder and the others didn't come out. The main reason was that the outside world said that they were dead, so they couldn't even tell their own disciples about it. Yang Yu, He Qianhan, and the others came out. When they saw Yi Tianyun coming out, they were all stunned. They didn't expect that the person who landed with a palace was their mansion lord. He Qianhan didn't know whether she should call Yi Tianyun mansion lord or not. Yi Tianyun's identity couldn't be exposed, but now it was exposed in front of everyone. Hey boss. Yang Yu was shocked when she saw Yi Tianyun coming out of the palace. Just when everyone thought that it was an expert, they found out that it was Yi Tianyun, a disciple of the Heavenly Rune Pavilion. They didn't know where they went. They didn't expect that they would suddenly appear and come out of this huge palace. Yi Tianyun nodded with a smile and said to He Qianhan, "There's no need to hide it anymore, let them come out." He Qianhan was startled for a second, then ran back to Heaven's top mansion. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what happened. Yi Tianyun turned to Shi Shuiyun and said, "From today onwards, this place belongs to Heavenly Cloud's mansion. Is this Heaven's top mansion, the old ancestors' sect?" Shi Shuiyun and the others turned their heads and looked around to see how the environment was. The overall environment here was not bad. It might not be comparable to some of the top sects, but it was considered good among the third-grade forces. The disciples of Heaven's top mansion were confused. They didn't know what was going on, but they saw people coming out one after another, and the elders didn't stop them. Why would the elders stop him? They all knew that Yi Tianyun was the manor head. What authority did they have to stop him? They were happy to see so many experts coming out, so why would they stop them? Soon, the Great Elder, Mu Xian, and the others came out from the palace, but they were shocked when they saw the scene before them. According to the rumors in the outside world, they should have died a long time ago. How could they still appear here? The death of Mu Xian and the others made the disciples of Heaven's top mansion sad for a while, especially the Great Elder, who had a good personality. Now that they suddenly appeared here, they were dumbfounded. Great Elder, Mu Xian? They were all shocked, speechless. They felt that this was too inconceivable. After experiencing such ups and downs, they didn't know what to say. Sorry to make you sad, but in fact, we didn't die. The manor head escaped with us, but because he was afraid of being chased by the Netherworld Empire, he hid it. The Great Elder explained. Manor head? They were confused. Wasn't the manor head crippled? How could he still save people? In fact, this is the current manor head. He will officially take office after some time, but we didn't expect the incident in Dragon Gathering City to happen, so we didn't say it out loud. The Great Elder smiled and said, "Now that the manor head said that it's okay, we can announce it to the public." The Great Elder pointed at Yi Tianyun and said that he was the manor head. This news shocked them even more. Wasn't he a disciple of Heavenly Rune Pavilion? How did he suddenly become the manor head? They couldn't wrap their heads around this news. They were so shocked by it that they couldn't speak. A newly joined disciple had suddenly become a manor head. Anyone would be shocked by this. Yes, I am the manor head. The previous manor head gave this position to me, so I am officially the manor head of Heaven's top mansion. Yi Tianyun said, "I will lead Heaven's top mansion to glory. But before that, I want to announce one thing. Heaven's top mansion has officially merged with Heavenly Cloud's mansion, becoming Heaven's pole sect in Heavenly Cloud's mansion. There is also Spirit Gate and Heavenly Jade Gate here. From now on, they will be your fellow disciples." Tianyun signaled the people of Spirit Race and Heavenly Jade Gate to come out. When they saw the people of Spirit Race, they were stunned. The Spirit Race was in an uproar because they didn't know where they were transferred to. They didn't expect that they would be here. Everyone may not be very clear about this, so let me briefly introduce it. The Great Elder coughed and explained. The Manorhead's cultivation is at Core Transformation Realm. He killed the ministers of Netherworld Empire in Dragon Gathering City. The Manorhead protected the Spirit Race from the invasion of the Spirit Race, and he also killed General Long and General Feng. Do you understand? The Great Elder didn't know whether it was Tianyun or Heavenly Dragon Empire, so he didn't explain it. However, this was enough to shock them to the point of speechlessness. The words that came out one after another left them flabbergasted. They didn't know what to say, and for a moment, they were unable to digest this content. The shock was too strong for them, one after another. It's normal for them to be speechless. During the explanation, the system's voice finally popped up. Successfully completed main quest, make Jade Sect strong. Upgrade Heavenly Jade Sect to Heavenly Jade Mansion and transfer it to Heavenly Border Continent. Reward: 100 million EXP, 1 million Crazy Point, 100. 000 Proficiency, can be allocated to martial arts or mastery, 100. 000 Sin Point, HP *1. Because of the merger of many forces and the creation of a new sect, the reward is doubled. Reward: 200 million EXP, 2 million Crazy Point, 200. 000 Proficiency, 200. 000 Sin Point, HP *2. Chapter 423. The rewards had been doubled. This was something that he had not expected. Everything had been doubled. This was shocking enough. His EXP became 200 million. In fact, it was not a big deal, but the rewards were doubled. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to first-level Void Spirit stage. After getting so many rewards, Tianyun finally broke through to Void Spirit stage, a cultivation level that most cultivators dream of, and now he broke through to Void Spirit stage. If it was a normal cultivator breaking through to Void Spirit stage, it would definitely cause a commotion, but for Tianyun, it looked very normal. No one knew that he had broken through. Ding! Successfully accepted main quest. Destroy the Netherworld Empire, kill the Netherworld Great Emperor. Reward: 500. 000 EXP 5. 000 Crazy Point, 500. 000 Mastery, assign anywhere, 500. 000 Sin Point, and the title, Punisher. After completing the main quest, there was no quest to upgrade the Netherworld Empire. Instead, there was a quest to destroy the Netherworld Empire. Tianyun didn't expect that the next main quest would be to destroy the Netherworld Empire. It seems that even the system wants him to destroy the Netherworld Empire. This reward was even better. It was 5 times more than the previous main quest. Tianyun knew that the higher the reward, the higher the difficulty. It seems that the Netherworld Empire still has a strong hidden force after so many of its generals were eradicated. Tianyun's eyes flashed. If that was the case, then it would not be easy to deal with them. But if they really have such a strong force, why didn't the Netherworld Great Emperor use it immediately? Most of the people were still immersed in shock, and after a while, they finally recovered from the shock, and then they were talking about this matter with each other. The impact on Yang Yu and the others was the biggest. They had a good relationship with Tianyun, but suddenly he became a mansion lord, and it was a very heaven-defying one. The only thing left was for the 3 of them to work together, which was not difficult. With his reputation, a lot of people recognized him as the mansion lord. As for the matter of merging, they were also discussing it. When they found out that it was a force established by their ancestor, the feeling of rejection quickly decreased a lot. Spirit King Shen Tian is the first Void Spirit stage cultivator in Heaven's top mansion, so he respects him a lot. So when he was integrated into Heaven's top mansion, the feeling of rejection was reduced a lot. Because they were all on the same side, how could there be any sense of rejection? Yi Tianyun let Shi Shuiyun and the others handle the run-in. There were many people in charge of the major affairs of the sect, so he didn't need to worry about it at all. The key was that it would be easier for Shi Shuiyun and Yi Wei to manage it. He was only responsible for putting them together and playing as the vanguard. He did not need to worry about the other trivial matters. After giving the instructions, Yi Tianyun found a cultivation room and went into seclusion. He had to start sorting out related matters, such as leveling up. He didn't want to be an idiot and talk to himself. I can finally calm down. Leveling crazy system. Ding, deducting 10 million crazy points, successfully leveled up crazy mode system. Effect increased to 16 times. Proficiency increased to 4 times. Sin value increased to 2 times, medicinal pill effect increased to 2 times, including any medicinal pill that increases EXP and enhancement. Every minute consumes 10,000 crazy points. The next level is 50 million crazy points. As expected, 8 times became 16 times, and the next level is 32 times. But it requires 50 million crazy points. It's really crazy. He doesn't know how long it will take to level up. But for this multiplier, he will definitely work hard to save up enough crazy points. 32 times increase in strength is simply heaven-defying. Especially now that there are so many effects, he is even more looking forward to the later effects. Double the effect of all medicinal pills. This is a good thing. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. Medicinal pills can double the effect, but it was limited to recovery medicinal pill. It has no effect on cultivation medicinal pill or experience medicinal pill. Now that it is effective, it means that refining a batch of accumulating soul pill can directly double the price. Originally 30 million experience medicinal pill, now it becomes 60 million experience medicinal pill. As for the sin value, there was no need to talk about it. Doubling the sin value was already a pretty good effect. This level up is really worth it. Yi Tianyun took a deep breath. Although he expected it, he was still shocked. The effect of 16 times burst out. He really can't imagine what kind of value it will be. Then there was a lot of crazy point left. He used most of it in one breath, first allocated to instant transmission, then allocated to lucky aura, directly used up 1.5 million crazy point. Ding, successfully leveled up instant transmission to level 2, can instantly reach any position within 10 miles. Cooldown time is 5 minutes. The next level requires 2 million crazy points. Ding, successfully leveled up luck aura to level 3, after using the luck greatly increased to 15 times, consumes 5,000 crazy points per second. The next level requires 5 million crazy points. Not bad, not bad. He upgraded both of them, the effect immediately doubled, and the crazy points required also doubled. Now there is not much crazy point left. There is still more than 1 million crazy point left. Overall, it is still a lot, but if used to level up, it is really not much. Now any skill requires too much crazy point, it's not enough at all. In the past, he thought that hundreds of thousands of crazy points was a lot, but now tens of millions is not a lot. He can use it all at once. It seems that I have to continue to earn crazy points. There are too many things that need to be upgraded. Tianyun shook his head and immediately smiled. Let's see what is in the gift pack first. This thing will definitely not let me down. You have successfully unlocked the level 51 gift pack. You have received the Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. One chance to use the Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. 50% discount in the shop, limited to 2 hours. 50x experience card, level 61 upgrade gift pack. Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. This time, I got a Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. It looks like I'll be able to get even more good stuff. Chapter 424. Let's take advantage of this chance to give it a try. Yi Tianyun didn't hesitate and immediately drew it. Unless he really had no time, he would draw it immediately. Following that, the huge Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette spun rapidly. In fact, there didn't seem to be much change. The things that could be obtained didn't change. It was still what it should be, and the probability of obtaining it also didn't change. What changed was what was inside, not what was on the surface. However, he didn't activate the lucky halo. He wanted to see what he could get with this chance. His luck value wasn't low. If it was still a consumable item, then he would accept it. After spinning a few times, the lottery roulette finally stopped, and the pointer pointed at the cultivation technique column. Thump! Accompanied by a sound, a wooden box fell into the inventory. The item drawn was neither good nor bad, at least it wasn't a consumable item. Of course, even if it was a consumable, there would still be something good, so he didn't feel that there was any problem without using the lucky halo. Unless he really wanted a divine skill type, he wouldn't use the lucky halo. I wonder what it will be? Tianyun opened the wooden box with excitement in his heart. Soon, a martial art appeared in front of him, Devouring Heaven Divine Art. Devouring Heaven Divine Art, low-grade heaven-level martial art. Extremely strong devouring effect. Able to devour all energy and turn it into one's own experience, the effect conflicts with the Dark North Divine Art and cannot be stacked together. The next level requires 1 million proficiency points to upgrade. The proficiency required wasn't much. To upgrade the Dark North Divine Art to the Heaven level, it required 1 million proficiency points to upgrade. To upgrade from low-grade Heaven level to middle grade, it also required 1 million proficiency points. Was it because the Dark North Divine Art was too heaven-defying, or was it because the Devouring Heaven Divine Art was too weak? In any case, it was too difficult to upgrade the Dark North Divine Art. He needed to absorb crazily often. Otherwise, it would be extremely difficult to accumulate 1 million proficiency points. So far, it was only 100 to 200,000 proficiency points. He was still short of 800,000 proficiency points. Even if he used up all the previous rewards, he still wouldn't be able to upgrade it. Therefore, the proficiency points given by completing the mission were just for show. Many of them required hundreds of thousands or even millions of proficiency points. There was no way to upgrade it. He could only wait until he was still lacking a bit of proficiency, and then he would use it again. Let me try the heaven-devouring divine art. Tianyun stretched out his hand and twisted it in front of him. Suddenly, an astonishing suction force gushed out from his palm and sucked the table in front of him towards him. When it got close to his palm, it was instantly sucked into powder. All the spiritual energy inside was instantly absorbed, leaving only a bit of residue. Received 300 experience points. Not only did he gain experience points, but he could also absorb spiritual energy from objects. This was something that the Dark North Divine Art could not do. It could only absorb the spiritual power of living things. This Devouring Heaven Divine Art could devour the energy contained in any object, which was quite amazing. Whether it was the suction force or the devouring effect, it was much stronger than the Dark North Divine technique. From the looks of it, he could be replaced quickly. If he wanted to level up slowly, it would be too difficult. Tianyun would definitely choose to give up on leveling up. Not bad. Looks like I'll be using the Devouring Heaven Divine Art in the future. Tianyun's eyes lit up. Finally, he had a martial art that could replace the Devouring Heaven Divine Art. The rest of the items in the gift bag were very good. 50% discount in the mall was very interesting. He could use it when he needed to buy a lot of things in the future. The 50 times EXP card was also a new high. Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette, 2 million crazy points per draw. This is really ruthless. When Tianyun looked at the roulette again, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. 2 million crazy points is not a small number, it takes a long time to save up. There was nothing else left. Everything that should be leveled up has been leveled up, and everything that should be drawn has also been drawn. But the amount of experience required for the next level was a bit shocking. Originally, to break through from Core Transformation Peak to Void Spirit Stage only needed 200 million experience points. Now to break through from first layer to second layer of Void Spirit Stage, it needs 300 million experience points. This is really ruthless. It directly increased the experience points by 100 million. After finishing, Tianyun walked out of the cultivation room. The situation outside didn't change much. It was generally divided into two major parts. One is Heaven's top mansion, the other is Heaven's immersing ancient ruins. Spirit Gate and Heavenly Jade Gate are still in heaven's immersing ancient ruins. People from heaven's top mansion won't come in. Although there is no change here, but for the outside world, the change is too big. For a time, the news spread instantly, spread all over the heavenly boundary continent, and the news even reached the Netherworld Empire. When they learned that a mysterious sect merged with heaven's top mansion, they felt very strange. How could a mysterious force suddenly appear? There is no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. Especially such a large-scale move, it attracted a lot of attention. There were many people who went to inquire about this mysterious sect, but they were all completely shocked by what they heard. There was actually a spirit tribe in this mysterious sect. All of a sudden it exploded. The spirit race that was previously hidden suddenly appeared in the heavenly boundary continent and merged with heaven's top mansion. What is this move? Is this a move to seek death? It's not easy to hide, and now it's exposed. What's the difference between this and seeking death? The reason why the spirit race was able to successfully hide was mainly because they hid in the earthly boundary continent, and they hid in Heavenly Jade Sect, which is undoubtedly quite hidden and safe. Originally, Heavenly Jade Sect was not eye-catching, so it was difficult to find them. Now that it's so eye-catching, it suddenly caused an uproar in the Netherworld Empire. Spirit Race appeared at this critical moment and dared to cooperate with Heaven's top mansion. Do they think that our Netherworld Empire is destroyed? The Imperial Preceptor and the Netherworld Emperor were extremely angry. This is a provocation to them. 2 of their generals died in the hands of the Spirit Race, so they have to be cautious. For a time, they were making preparations, planning how to completely eradicate the Spirit Race and capture all of them. While they were planning, Tianyun has already decided to take the initiative to attack the Netherworld Empire. This decision in the eyes of others is absolutely crazy, but Tianyun is not crazy. He feels that everything is ready. The only thing left is the news from the Spirit Race. Chapter 425. It didn't take long for the Spirit Race to return and bring the latest news about the Netherworld Empire to Tianyun. So far, the information he had obtained was quite simple. There were about 4 Void Spirit stage powerhouses, and the strongest among them were the Netherworld Great Emperor and the Imperial Teacher. The rest were the Imperial Generals, and their cultivation was also not low. They were all in the 2nd or 3rd layer of Void Spirit stage. As for the core transformation stage cultivators, there were at least 20 of them. Tianyun had killed a lot of them, but he didn't expect there to be so many left. The Netherworld Empire's foundation was really strong. In addition, he heard that the Netherworld Empire was preparing to send experts to suppress the Netherworld Empire. The Spirit Race must be avenged, especially at this critical moment. Some people in the room felt that Tianyun's action was quite irrational. It was tantamount to exposing the Spirit Race and putting the entire Heavenly Clouds mansion in a crisis. If they came quietly, there would be no problem. The Spirit Race had always been focused on hiding, and if they waited for a long time, they could definitely hurt the Netherworld Empire. However, Tianyun exposed them, which undoubtedly increased the difficulty of the operation. Tianyun didn't know that this approach was safer. Sneak attacks were always much easier than frontal attacks, but he still had to complete the main quest. There were so many EXP rewards, so many crazy points, and so many sin points. From the point of view of the people present, Tianyun's approach is undoubtedly a failure. It is simply the wrong approach. But from Tianyun's point of view, this was the only way to get the main quest reward. In his opinion, when he broke through to the Void Spirit stage, his crazy points would be the nightmare of the Netherworld Empire. He already crushed the Imperial Preceptor when he was in the 8 times crazy mode, so what about now? Needless to say, he was already determined to destroy the Netherworld Empire. He wanted to take advantage of the Netherworld Empire's weakness. The Netherworld Empire hadn't recovered yet, so it was best to continue the pursuit and completely destroy them. He had already told Rinlong that they would send people to gather after the arrangements were made. After understanding the general information, the conference room was silent, and no one knew what they were thinking. Well, I have a general idea. When the Heavenly Dragon Empire's people arrive, We will gather all our forces in the Heavenly Clouds mansion and fly directly to the Netherworld continent to destroy the Netherworld Empire. Tianyun said this at this time, breaking the silence, but his words are shocking. Many people have been looking at him in horror. Taking the initiative to attack? Was he crazy? Young Lord, this is very unwise. The situation in the Netherworld Empire is very dangerous, and we only have a small part of the information. The foundation of the Netherworld Empire is not as simple as it looks on the surface. I heard that there are still several old bastards sleeping in the Netherworld Empire. Once the Netherworld Empire is in crisis, they will all come out. This is not a child's play. That's right. It's already dangerous for us to be exposed right now, especially as astrals. Taking the initiative to attack now is simply courting death. The Netherworld Empire is a colossus. It's not easy to deal with them. Mansion Lord, please be careful. It wasn't the spiritual sect or the Heavenly Jade sect who objected, but the Heaven's top mansion. Their loyalty is not high. Tianyun has only been with them for a short time, and they have always been under the management of other elders. Although some of them know that Tianyun is not weak, they haven't been with him for a long time, so they don't trust him very much. The spiritual sect and Heavenly Jade sect were completely under Tianyun's command. They would do whatever Tianyun said without any hesitation. It seemed unwise, and Tianyun might have his own plan. If they really failed, they would also accept it. However, Tianyun really had his own plan, and that was to complete the main task, but he couldn't say it here. I'm just moving the time forward a little bit. Do you really think that the Netherworld Empire will just stay quiet and not come out? Tianyun said indifferently, according to the information we received, the Netherworld Empire's intention to invade us has not diminished. In fact, it will become more and more intense. The Heaven's top mansion is one of their targets. At most, this place will be peaceful for 1 or 2 years. What do you think we can do in 1 or 2 years? According to the information collected by the spirit race was very sensitive to spiritual power. They could always sense that there was a strong force at the bottom of the Netherworld Empire. The Netherworld Empire's ambition was not small. It was not clear when it would erupt, but one thing was for sure, it wouldn't be long. Once it broke out, the people would be plunged into an abyss of misery and suffering. It didn't matter if they had provoked the Netherworld Empire or not, the only result was death. Everyone looked at each other, no one refuted Tianyun's words. So many times we were passive defense, this time we will take the initiative to attack the Netherworld Empire. Tianyun said in a deep voice, we believe that with our strength, we can definitely destroy the Netherworld Empire. Even if we can't destroy the Netherworld Empire, at least we can dampen their spirit. Destroy the Netherworld Empire? Where did your confidence come from? They were too afraid of the Netherworld Empire, so they didn't trust Tianyun. Because I have them, do you understand? Shi Shueyun, who was standing beside Tianyun, didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. All of them chose to support Tianyun. It seemed ridiculous, but for Tianyun, as long as they supported him, it was enough. With his strength alone, it was enough to shake everything. With their support, he felt even more confident. It was just that simple. At this time, a guard hurried in from outside and said, reporting to young Lord, there are experts from the Heavenly Dragon Empire outside. Quick, let them come in. Tianyun's eyes lit up. Finally they are done with their business. After a while, familiar figures of Renlong appeared in the hall. He brought a group of experts with him, but Renjiro didn't come. This was because Renjiro had to guard the Heavenly Dragon Empire and ensure the safety of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Renlong brought a lot of experts with him, which made the hall full of experts. Brother Ren, you are here. Tianyun walked towards Renlong and said, yes, you asked us to come, how can we not come? Renlong said with a smile. Chapter 426. As soon as they arrived, Tianyun was ready to leave. The people of Heaven's top mansion didn't know what to say, but Renlong and the others didn't object at all. They completely followed Tianyun's instructions. All of the people who came with Renlong have seen Yi Tianyun's power before, and they have absolute trust in him. They didn't object at all. They supported Yi Tianyun wholeheartedly. Your Highness! They shouted in a respectful tone, expressing their respect for Yi Tianyun, and even more so, they admire Yi Tianyun. If it weren't for Yi Tianyun, the Heavenly Dragon Empire would have suffered a lot of casualties, so they were very respectful. Wang Ye. Heaven's top mansion's people frowned. Their mansion lord is still Wang Ye? Yi Tianyun didn't explain anything, he just let them have a good talk. After a brief introduction, they had a general understanding of Renlong's identity. Especially when they knew that Renlong was the Heavenly Dragon Empire's great emperor, many people were shocked. They thought that Yi Tianyun called for help, but who knew that it was the Heavenly Dragon Empire's great emperor? The key point was that Yi Tianyun was the Heavenly Dragon Empire's Royal Highness, and after a stroll, he became a Royal Highness? You brat, after a stroll, you became a Royal Highness? You're really something. Shi Shuiyun rolled her eyes. Previously, Yi Tianyun said that he would go to the Heavenly Dragon Empire for help, but who knew that he would become a Royal Highness? Of course, otherwise, how could our Heavenly Cloud's mansion become stronger? Yi Tianyun smiled at Shi Shuiyun. After a brief understanding, Yi Tianyun announced, "Then get ready to go to the Netherworld Empire." Yi Qingxian nodded and immediately followed the spirit race's old ancestor to control the great array to fly to the Netherworld Empire. The journey would be very dangerous, so they must be prepared. Although the palace could fly, flying wasn't the palace's privilege. The other side also had a lot of core transformation experts and a lot of flying demon beasts, so it wouldn't be a problem to intercept them in the air. King Yi, it seems like you're very confident to make a move so soon? Renlong's eyes lit up. In front of outsiders, he still addressed him as King Yi, but between them, he called him brother. Of course. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "Even if we can't take it down, the Netherworld Empire needs to know how strong we are. Otherwise, they will think that only they can attack and we can only defend." Renlong smiled and his eyes flashed, "But it's going to be very difficult. It's very difficult to break into the Netherworld Empire's capital. For so many years, basically no force has been able to break into the Netherworld Empire. If we can do it, it's already a great feat." The most heavily guarded place was the Netherworld Imperial capital. Whether it was the experts or the defense, it was far ahead of other places. It was completely indestructible. Ever since its establishment, the Netherworld Empire had never been breached. Even before the Netherworld Empire's capital was attacked, it had already been destroyed. Although the Heavenly Dragon Empire had never been breached, there had been many times when enemies had attacked the Imperial capital. If not for the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure protecting it, it would have fallen long ago. A great feat. What about destroying the Netherworld Empire? What is that? Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "That's a matter that will be passed down through the ages. Among all the empires, the Netherworld Empire is one of the most powerful empires in the world. It will definitely shock all the other empires." Renlong said with a smile. Passed down through the ages, Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. The entire Heaven's Immersing Ancient Ruins rumbled, but it was not called Heaven's Immersing Ancient Ruins anymore. Instead, it had a new name, Heavenly Cloud Shrine. The huge shrine took off again. It didn't stay here for too long. But this time, they were going to the Netherworld Empire. Most of the disciples stayed here and their hearts were filled with excitement. They were going to the Netherworld Empire, a very terrifying place. How could they not be excited and nervous? Yi Tianyun has already issued an order for them to be ready to attack at any time. Of course, this attack on the Netherworld Empire was not just for him. Otherwise, why would he train so many disciples to be ready to fight at any time? The speed of the Heavenly Cloud Shrine wasn't fast, but it wasn't slow either. The news quickly reached the ears of the Netherworld Empire and shocked them. They didn't expect that the other party would take the initiative to attack them instead of waiting to bear their anger. This was completely different from the previous forces, who wouldn't immediately flee when they heard the name of the Netherworld Empire. This new force, Heavenly Cloud Mansion, was very bold and took the initiative to attack. Is this heavenly cloud mansion tired of living? Or is the decision maker of the spirit race tired of living? They think that we are easy to bully. The Imperial Preceptor's face was gloomy. They were just thinking about how to deal with these spirit race, but now they had already attacked them. Send out the Eagle Army, and you will personally lead them to destroy them. Netherworld Emperor's expression was ice-cold as he said in a deep voice, "It has been too long since anyone knew the power of our Netherworld Imperial capital. Do you really think that we have lost everything just because we lost one battle? Let the 2 Imperial generals go with you. If you still can't deal with them, don't come back to see me." The Imperial Preceptor said in a deep voice, "This time, I will not make a mistake." After the Imperial Preceptor bowed to the Netherworld Emperor, he turned around and left. This time, he even brought the Imperial generals with him. If they had been careless before and let the 2 generals die, then they had to be very careful this time. Not only did the Imperial teacher go, but the Imperial Protector also came along, 3 Void Spirit stage powerhouses. If they still couldn't conquer it, then they really didn't need to go back to see others. If they met Yi Tianyun, what kind of expression would they have? According to the plan, the Heavenly Cloud Shrine flew directly to the Netherworld Imperial capital. The elders knew the location, so they didn't need to take a detour. When they flew halfway, they suddenly saw a lot of black spots in front of them. As they got closer, they found out that those black spots were a group of eagles. There were more than 1,000 eagles with a Spirit Core stage soldier riding on them. This was a great show of force. They were absolutely invincible in the sky, and they wanted to take down the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. Other than the Eagle Army, the Imperial Preceptor and the others had brought a large group of experts over. It could be said that they had put in a lot of effort this time. Reporting to the Palace Master, the Netherworld Empire's Imperial Preceptor personally led the Eagle Army and 2 Imperial generals. The guard outside hurriedly ran in and said, all of them were shocked. Other than the Eagle Army, the Imperial Preceptor had personally led the army over. With him personally leading the army, there was no doubt that the power of the Eagle Army would be unleashed to the extreme. Chapter 427. This time, the Netherworld Empire was very cautious. In addition to the Imperial Preceptor, there was also the Imperial Guard General. If the Netherworld Emperor could move at will, it would be like a tiger fighting a rabbit. It might seem like he was lowering his status, but he had repeatedly made the Netherworld Empire suffer losses. Even if he had to lower his status, he would destroy the Netherworld Empire. The Imperial Preceptor led the army here, and all of them immediately made their preparations. Before they came, they had already anticipated the appearance of a strong army. Sure enough, before they even got close to the Netherworld Empire's capital, the Netherworld Empire had already sent their elites. No wonder those who planned to attack the Netherworld Empire's capital were eliminated before they even got close to the capital. With such a powerful army, how could they not repel the invaders? Young Lord, what should we do now? Everyone looked at Yi Tianyun and wanted to see what he was going to do. Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently and said, calm down, you don't need to do anything. From now on, just watch my performance. You don't need to do anything to deal with them. They were shocked. Didn't this mean that Yi Tianyun wanted to deal with thousands of people alone? Although the people riding the eagles were all Spirit Core cultivators, the leader was the Imperial Preceptor, so it was not easy to deal with them. However, they didn't say anything. Since Yi Tianyun said so, they could only act according to the situation. Following Yi Tianyun to the gate of the Heavenly Cloud Temple, Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes and looked at the approaching army with a faint smile on his face. He opened the Sin Mall and saw that there were only 3 sets in front of him, but he quickly aimed at one of them, Sword Master Set. Sword Master Set, level requirement, level 30. After equipping it, the wearer can learn to control the sword formation at any time. All swords within a radius of 10 miles that are high-grade spirit weapons will be under the wearer's control. The wearer can control up to 10,000 swords and has the effect of sword flight. Price: 100,000 Sin Points. Exchange for Sword Master Set. Successfully deducted 100,000 Sin Points, Obtain Sword Master Set. Sword Master Set. In an instant, he equipped his swordsman's suit and wore a thin white robe. Because he was standing in front of the gate, his robe fluttered in the wind, making him look elegant. The people standing beside him didn't feel any difference. The swordsman's set didn't have any powerful attributes to begin with. It could be said that it didn't have any attributes, so it didn't exude any domineering aura. He could only feel that his aura seemed to have changed slightly, as if he had become a different person, but he couldn't tell what had changed. Others might not be able to sense anything, but Yi Tianyun could sense all the weapons within 10 miles. He could clearly sense them in any corner. As long as they were within this range, he could immediately sense them. There's a city nearby. So many weapons, so many. Yi Tianyun closed his eyes and sensed all the weapons. As the distance between the two of them shortened, many people started to feel anxious. They didn't know when Yi Tianyun would make his move. Could it be that he would only make his move when he was close to them? Although the Heavenly Cloud Shrine was very sturdy, it wouldn't last long under a fierce attack. As the Imperial Preceptor got closer and closer, his expression became colder and colder. Eagle Army, listen up. Shoot down their shrine. Let's see if they still dare to fly in the air. Yes. The Eagle Army of more than 1,000 people shouted in unison. It was quite imposing, and their eyes were full of killing intent. Just like the eagles they were riding on, a cold light gradually appeared in their eyes, like a pair of eagle eyes, completely integrated with the demonic beasts they were riding. They clenched the longbow in their hands, ready to attack the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. As long as the shrine was slightly damaged, it would fall down. If they fell down, those with high cultivation would definitely be fine, but those with low cultivation would definitely be smashed into meat paste. Therefore, the flying shrine looked domineering, but in fact, it was equivalent to a live target. Under the fierce attack, it would definitely not be able to withstand the attack and quickly fall down. More than half of them were already dead before the battle even started, so no one would like to control the shrine to fly around. It was undoubtedly the behavior of a fool. Therefore, the current behavior of the Heavenly Clouds Mansion was the behavior of a fool in their eyes. While many people were worried, Yi Tianyun gently raised his hand, and in an instant, a lot of spiritual tool-level weapons flew up from the ground, from the Heavenly Clouds Mansion, and from the Eagle Army. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of spiritual tools gathered. 2,000, 3,000, 6,000, 7,000, 10,000. 10,000 spiritual tools flew up from the ground and instantly surrounded the Heavenly Clouds Mansion. The surrounding area was shrouded by the dense sword array. The sudden change shocked everyone. How could there be so many spiritual swords flying up and floating in the Heavenly Clouds Mansion's direction? Seeing so many spiritual tools, the Imperial Preceptor's pupils shrank. He felt that something was wrong. For them, spiritual tools were basically no different from garbage. They wouldn't pick them up even if they were thrown on the ground. But now, there were tens of thousands of spiritual swords, so the significance was different, especially those that could fly in the air. 10,000 swords returned to origin. Tianyun suddenly opened his eyes, and a sword light burst out from his eyes. It was as if a real spiritual sword had shot out from his eyes. Under his control, tens of thousands of spiritual swords stabbed at an extremely fast speed. The speed was so fast that most cultivators couldn't see it. Although the Sword Master set didn't have any effect bonus, it could still exert the power of the wearer. This meant that these tens of thousands of spiritual swords were thrown by a void spirit stage powerhouse. Quick, retreat! The Imperial Preceptor roared in anger as he quickly erected a protective barrier to block the incoming spiritual swords. However, there were too many of them. Even a void spirit expert wouldn't be able to block all of them at once. Whoosh, whoosh. But it was all too late. An astonishing number of spirit swords pierced through at high speed, and in an instant, large swathes of the Eagle Army were pierced with bloody holes. The bodies of the soldiers standing on them stiffened, and their eyes widened. Then they fell down from the eagles. The number of spiritual swords quickly increased, and in less than a moment, more than half of the Eagle Army was dead. A large amount of blood splashed down from the sky like a red waterfall. Similarly, Tianyun gained a lot of EXP, but because his cultivation was too low, it was too little for him. Even with the effect of 16 times, the EXP was still too little. But it was better than nothing, so he still had to activate crazy mode. Chapter 428. Tens of thousands of spiritual swords were of relatively low grade, but their power was definitely not weak. In the blink of an eye, more than 700 to 800 of the Winged Eagle army were gone. The remaining ones were able to survive largely because of the defense generals and the Grand Tutor. Otherwise, the remaining 200 to 300 people would have died long ago. Boom, boom, boom. The Grand Tutor and the others tried their best to resist these spiritual swords. Although it was not difficult to resist, it was not easy either. After all, there were too many of them. It could be said that there was no way to avoid them. How could they avoid them? They could only attack crazily and destroy these spiritual swords. Only by destroying these spirit swords would these spirit swords stop attacking. If they simply knocked them away, it would not have any effect. They would still attack crazily. However, the Grand Tutor and the others were strong. With a fierce wave of the sacred weapons in their hands, a large number of spiritual swords were broken and fell from the sky. However, after a batch was cut down, a new batch flew up from all directions and attacked fiercely again. There was no end to the crazy attacks. What kind of martial arts is this? How can it control so many spiritual swords? The Grand Tutor and the others were going crazy. These weapons did not cause any harm to them, but they caused great interference to their movements. The most important thing was that they had no time to help the Winged Eagle army. They were already struggling to resist the attacks of these spiritual swords. Damn it, the Winged Eagle army is going to be wiped out. The Grand Tutor's eyes were red. They had just brought people over and they were already dead. This was too fast. They did not even see the other party's face and they could already retreat. Damn it, I will kill my way over and destroy them. There are many spiritual swords, but they are too weak. Another Grand Tutor roared and waved the giant hammer in his hand. It turned into a golden light and swept around. A large number of spiritual swords were smashed into pieces. Then, he quickly flew over to the divine temple. Along the way, he smashed these spiritual swords crazily. They only had a little effect and could not hurt him at all. This was the reason why Tianyun did not change to the swordsman's suit. In a real group battle, the swordsman's suit was almost invincible. The premise was that the opponent's cultivation was relatively low. If the cultivation was slightly higher, these spiritual swords would not cause much damage. The grade of the weapon was too low. If it was a soul weapon or even a sacred weapon, then it would be different. The other party would not be able to destroy it easily, so they would be able to continuously attack it. The effect would naturally be different. Unfortunately, the effects of the swordsman equipment set were limited to this, unless one bought a high-grade equipment set. Although they couldn't avoid it, they didn't need to. They could destroy the spiritual sword with a single sweep. He would be invincible against those with lower cultivation, especially against these legions. Was it a competition of numbers? Then what he was competing on was whether he had enough weapons. There were quite a few cities in the surroundings, and it was possible to control spiritual swords to fly over within a range of 5 kilometers. Unless all the spiritual swords were gone, they could continuously control spiritual swords to fly over to replenish the consumption of the spiritual swords that they had destroyed. In any case, these spirit swords didn't belong to him, so it didn't matter if they were broken. Moreover, they belonged to the people of the Netherworld Empire, so it was already benevolent of him to just collect their weapons. If he killed his way through, he would really have to kill his way through. National Protector, Tianyun narrowed his eyes. The Ice Frost Divine Bow appeared in his hand, and he quickly pulled it to its limit. A thick arrow appeared on the bowstring, and he aimed at the Protector General who was charging towards him, preparing to shoot. The surrounding spiritual swords were still crazily attacking and didn't stop at all. The surrounding spiritual swords didn't interfere with his other weapons, which meant that he could still use other weapons to attack, and these spiritual swords only needed a thought to attack at will. Go. A cold light burst out of Yi Tianyun's eyes, and then the ice frost arrow in his hand shot out. The arrow had a battle power of up to 60 million, and this was the ultimate effect of the ice frost divine bow. Crack! Another crack appeared on the ice frost divine bow. It was almost reaching its limit, and if it continued to be used, it would break. Its durability was limited and the explosive power was too strong, and if it continued to be used, it would definitely break. With his violent power, unless it was a sacred tool, it wouldn't be able to satisfy his power, and it wouldn't be able to release its true power. Perhaps a real expert could be very strong with a leaf, but it was only limited to a part of its power, and it wouldn't be able to completely burst out its power. Weapons were always an important partner, and if it couldn't keep up, then it wouldn't be able to fully exert its power, and might as well use its own fist. Swish! An ice frost arrow pierced through, and when the National Protector fiercely swung his sledgehammer and rushed over, he immediately felt a sense of crisis. When he saw the ice frost arrow piercing through, his expression changed, and he quickly picked up the golden hammer and smashed it down, but the arrow had already blasted over. Boom! When the golden hammer smashed into the ice frost arrow, the effect completely exploded, and a cold air quickly enveloped the National Protector, and the entire area within a radius of 1 mile was enveloped by this overbearing cold air. Even those spiritual swords were frozen and fell from the sky. This cold air didn't distinguish between friend and foe, and as long as it touched it, it would freeze, whether it was one's own people or the enemy. After a while, when the cold air dissipated, the National Protector had already fallen from the sky and smashed onto the ground, completely broken into pieces. He was completely dead, and it was impossible to save him. In the distance, the National Master's expression changed, and when he saw this cold air, his heart suddenly trembled. Could it be that guy? His gaze focused, and he saw Yi Tianyun standing at the door from afar. The current Yi Tianyun had already changed his face, and he wasn't the mysterious powerhouse he saw before. However, this familiar power, this familiar attack, made him suspect that the Yi Tianyun in front of him was that lord of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Retreat! The National Master roared, bit his lips, and a stream of blood essence entered his body. Without hesitation, he turned around and fled. He didn't plan to stop, and he didn't plan to save the Winged Eagle army that was still alive. He didn't even care about the National Protector, and he turned around and fled. The other National Protector was stunned, but when he saw that the National Master had fled, he also quickly chased after him, ignoring the Winged Eagle army and fled. One arrow could instantly kill his companion, so if he approached, he would undoubtedly end up like his companion. Due to the lack of two powerhouses to resist, the remaining Winged Eagle army was easily killed, and not a single one was left. A large army was completely annihilated, and not a single one was left. Bloody enough, ruthless enough, this was Yi Tianyun. Chapter 429. There was no need for anyone to make a move at all. The other party had already fled in panic, especially the Imperial Preceptor, who had turned around and fled without stopping. He ran as fast as he could. The Imperial Preceptor saw the Imperial Preceptor running away, so how could he not run? No matter how unwilling they were, they still chose to retreat. Yi Tianyun put down his ice divine bow and frowned. He didn't even have time to attack, but the Imperial Preceptor ran away in an instant. Because the distance between them was quite far, it would take some effort to catch up with them. But Yi Tianyun didn't chase after the Imperial Preceptor. If the Imperial Preceptor fell into the enemy's hands, it would be troublesome. They ran really fast. It would have been better if we had waited for them to get closer. Yi Tianyun shook his head. The people behind him were shocked. The Imperial Preceptor was killed in a blink of an eye. This kind of lethality was really amazing. Even the Imperial Preceptor was killed by an arrow. A single person could take on all of them. Did he really need their help? Isn't he too strong? Could it be that Mansion Master is the prince of the Heavenly Dragon Empire who defeated the Imperial Preceptor? Yes, I suddenly remembered something. The Netherworld Empire's army was defeated by the princes of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Mansion Master is a prince of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. How many princes are there in the Heavenly Dragon Empire? Is this true? Is our Imperial Preceptor that very strong Imperial Preceptor? Whether it was the Heaven's Top Mansion, Heavenly Jade Sect, or Spirit Sect, they suddenly remembered this matter. Tianyun didn't specifically mention this matter. In fact, there was no need to do so. But now they suddenly remembered this matter. The Imperial Preceptor was defeated by a prince from the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Could it be? There is only one Imperial Preceptor in the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Renlong recovered from his shock. He smiled and said, "That is King Yi, your Manor Lord." Renlong confirmed it for them, and they looked at each other, their eyes filled with shock. It was not a dream to be able to shake the entire Netherworld Empire by himself. Moreover, King Yi was their Manor Lord, the one who commanded them. All of a sudden, Tianyun's prestige exploded in the entire Heavenly Clouds mansion. After learning about it, they worshipped him even more. It was not the first time that the Netherworld Empire was repelled by their palace lord, but it was the second time. This news was shocking. Those who didn't know much about Tianyun before were now completely clear. He knew that his mansion lord was very powerful. He was able to scare away the Netherworld Empire's Imperial Preceptor. This is the world of the young. Our Spirit King will certainly lead us to glory and destroy the Netherworld Empire. He didn't dare to look at the Netherworld Emperor. "Great Emperor, I don't have the face to see you." I thought that I was full of confidence, but I didn't expect that I would meet the opponent who could control tens of thousands of spiritual swords and easily killed our Eagle army. Before he walked out of the gate, he confidently said that he would definitely be fine. If he lost, he wouldn't have the face to come back. Now, he could only come back obediently, and it was a crushing defeat. I have already understood the situation. What kind of martial art is this? I have never seen such a strange martial art that can control tens of thousands of spiritual swords at once. The Netherworld Emperor looked at the Imperial Preceptor coldly and said, "It seems that this time, someone has broken the record and successfully arrived at the Netherworld Empire's capital. I'm ashamed." The Nation Master's eyes were full of anger, but more than that, he was unwilling. I originally wanted to fight with them, but I gave up the idea in the end, because only in the Netherworld Imperial capital can I exert all my strength. Those who come here must die. If I can't stop them, then I am willing to perish together with them and never come back. The Imperial Preceptor, as a divine rune grandmaster, had arranged countless formations in the Netherworld Empire's capital. Chapter 430. After this little interlude, the Heavenly Cloud Shrine continued to fly towards the Netherworld Empire without stopping for a single moment. Of course, no one dared to intercept them along the way. Who would dare to confront Tianyun at this time? No one dares to confront Tianyun head-on. Anyone who dares to do so is courting death. Near the Heavenly Cloud Temple, there were a lot of spirit swords floating around him, but he quickly took them back to the Heavenly Cloud Temple. This consumption is really high. Tianyun took a deep breath. The consumption of controlling tens of thousands of spirit swords is really amazing. Fortunately, his cultivation is higher. If his cultivation is lower, he estimated that controlling a few thousand spirit swords would be his limit. If he forcibly controls many spirit swords, it will certainly consume a lot of spiritual power, and he won't be able to maintain it for too long. When a pile of spirit swords flew in and landed on the ground, stacking into a pile of spirit swords, Tianyun couldn't help but sigh. With the increase in grade, he can snatch the opponent's weapon with just a thought. This is really overbearing. If the weapon is snatched away immediately, what is the point of fighting? However, it is limited to the sword type of weapon. He can't control the rest. After all, this set is called Sword Master Set, not an all-rounder set. It can only control sword-shaped weapons, but it is already quite powerful. When he checked the Sin Shop, there is a new set of equipment on top of the Sword Master set, just like the Evil Dragon set. After purchasing, there will be a new set, and this Sword Master set is also the same. Sword Saint set, 50 pieces of equipment. Can transform into Sword Saint. All long swords within 10 miles within the range of high-grade sacred tool are under your control. Can control up to 10,000 long swords. Comes with sword array, 10,000 swords as one, consumes 100,000 crazy points to detonate all weapons, bursting out the power of all weapons to kill the enemy. Price is 1 million sin points. Sure enough, after buying a new set of sin equipment, this set of equipment will appear, otherwise, it will not appear. According to this deduction, the Evil God equipment set or the Sword Saint equipment set would only appear after the purchase of the Evil God equipment set. This kind of equipment that can only appear after buying a new set seems to be a bit fixed. If as the level increases, higher grade of sin equipment will appear. In this way, he can skip this low-grade set and buy a high-grade set. It seems that the reason I didn't buy it is because this set is too overpowered. Itian Yun simply guessed. As for why this is the case, he is not very clear. In short, he can only buy them one by one. King Yi, how did you do it? How did you control so many spiritual swords to fend off the enemy? Renlong couldn't help but ask. His question attracted the attention of many people. They had never seen such a powerful control ability. It wasn't a problem for cultivators who had reached the core transformation stage or above to fight with their swords, but they couldn't control so many weapons at the same time. Well, I can't really explain it clearly. It requires a very strong mental strength, and it must be matched with martial arts. Itian Yun simply explained, this is not nonsense. It does require a strong mental power to be able to control it perfectly. He felt that he had to consume a lot of mental power, otherwise he wouldn't be able to control it. Strong mental power? This requires a very high level of mental power. If I can cultivate it, it will be amazing. Renlong's eyes were full of envy, but he didn't force Yi Tianyun to hand over a piece of Sword Saint Yi Tianyun's sword. The others nodded in agreement. If they could control it like this, wouldn't they be invincible? If each of them could control 10,000 swords, who would dare to stop them? How do I say this? In fact, except for me, no one can cultivate it. Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. This was not wrong. It was simply the problem of this set of Sword Master set. Without this set, he couldn't control so many swords. It's just that he can't give it to them, he can only equip it himself. These sets are not like other martial arts that can be bought from the shop and then given to them to cultivate. The set of Sin Mall can only stay in the special equipment bar of Sin Mall, it can't be taken out and given to them. If they could take it out at will, it would be against heaven's will. If they could just give a few sets to them, they would really be invincible. It's a pity that this can't be done. It's not that he is stingy. But some people don't believe what Yi Tianyun said. They may not be able to cultivate it, but sure Xueyun or Renlong can't. They didn't say it out loud, they could only think about it in their hearts. Renlong and the others didn't ask about it, they just nodded to show that they were very curious about it, but they didn't insist on it. Everyone has their own secrets, even if they don't say it out loud, it's normal. Why should they share the things that they have worked so hard to get? In any case, when everyone saw how overbearing Yi Tianyun was, they felt that as long as Yi Tianyun is by their side, they will definitely win this battle. Even if they can't win, at least they can severely damage the Netherworld Empire. Then they all began to prepare, because soon they will arrive at the Netherworld Empire, a place that many forces can't get close to. They were completely killed outside before they could even get close to it. This is how terrifying the Netherworld Empire's capital is. As time went by, they quickly approached the Netherworld Empire's capital. From afar, they could see the huge city of the Netherworld Empire's capital. An invisible aura emanated from the distance, giving people a very oppressive feeling. It doesn't look much different from an ordinary city, but it can give people a sense of oppression. Those with low cultivation are fine, but those with slightly higher cultivation will feel a bit oppressive. This is the difference in the realm, the effect is different. Get ready to arrive at the Netherworld Empire's capital. Yi Tianyun looked at the huge Netherworld Empire's capital. His heart couldn't help but beat faster. He was ready to meet the Netherworld Empire's capital head-on. This is a fourth-grade force, it will more or less be a little excited. The others also felt the same, their hearts were beating faster. A little carelessness will lead to death, how can they not be nervous? On the wall of the Netherworld Empire's capital in the distance, the Imperial Master held a magic wand and stared at them like a poisonous snake. He sneered and said, "If I can't deal with you in my territory, then I really should kill myself." The next moment, he fiercely poked the ground. Boom! The whole wall made a rumbling sound, followed by a dark force that quickly extended from the wall to the ground. In less than a moment, a huge black formation suddenly appeared on the ground under the Heavenly Cloud Palace. Chapter 431. A pitch-black formation suddenly emerged from the ground, and a towering black beam of light gushed out, pierced through the ground, and bombarded the Skycloud Shrine. Boom, boom, boom. When this terrifying black beam of light bombarded the Heavenly Cloud Shrine, the huge Heavenly Cloud Shrine was like a live target that was easily hit. The entire Heavenly Cloud Shrine shook violently as if it was about to fall from the sky at any time. However, it only shook constantly and could still continue to fly forward. However, when it flew out of this great array's attack, another great array gushed out from the ground and continued to fiercely attack the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. Such a big shrine, but you still dare to fly here. You are simply courting death. I guarantee that you will not be able to fly half the distance before you are shot down. National Master sneered, "You can control the spirit swords to attack, but I can control all the great arrays here. Let's see how you can get close." National Master continued to control the great array to attack fiercely. As long as the Heavenly Cloud Shrine flew out of the great array, the next great array would immediately start. It was as if this area had been filled with formations, sealing off all the paths. As long as they continued to fly forward, they would definitely be attacked by so many great arrays. No wonder they could not get close to the Netherworld Imperial capital and died on the way. This was similar to the Spirit Sword Great Array's attack, which was numerous and could be attacked from a distance. This National Master really has some skills. No wonder he escaped to control the Great Array here, right? Lee Dong-yun looked at National Master in the distance and revealed a trace of a sneer, still calm and unruffled. "Spirit King, although the power of these attacks is not very strong, if I continue to be attacked, I can't imagine that my defense will be broken halfway and I will fall down." The Spirit Race Old Ancestor looked solemn. The outer shield could withstand many attacks, but it also consumed a lot of energy. According to the current situation, it would not last for too long. It was not that the Jade Spirit Stones were insufficient, but the Great Array had been destroyed and it was very difficult to repair. It could not be easily repaired in a short time. The speed of destruction was far faster than the speed of repair. Everyone looked at Lee Tianyun with a solemn expression, wondering if Lee Tianyun had any ideas. If he couldn't come up with a solution, they could only return to the Heavenly Cloud Shrine and wait outside the Grand Array to find a solution. "Don't worry, I've already predicted this. Otherwise, the Imperial Tutor wouldn't have chosen to escape in such a humiliating situation." Lee Tianyun sneered. He raised his hand and threw it into the air. A huge stone tablet fell down from the sky and heavily pressed on the ground. After this huge stone tablet was pressed down, it created a huge pit in the ground with a dong sound. Following that, rings of light were released, suppressing a large area of the Great Formation. It was no longer able to spew out the black pillars of light, as if it had lost its effect. Tyrant Stone Tablet. When everyone saw this stone stele, the spirit race immediately knew what it was. Their eyes lit up. This Overlord Stone Stele could really deal with great formations. The Overlord Stone Stele could nullify Grandmaster Divine Runes. These great formations were not Grandmaster Divine Runes, so it could suppress and nullify them. The Imperial Tutor was a Grandmaster Divine Rune Grandmaster, but it didn't mean that he could carve Grandmaster Divine Runes on all great formations. Moreover, Grandmaster Divine Runes were not bad, but they were easily nullified by the Overlord Stone Stele. I almost forgot that the Spirit King can control the Overlord Stone Stele. No wonder he was so calm. The spirit race's old ancestor laughed. This meant that they could fly all the way to the Netherworld Imperial capital without suffering from this crazy attack. As I said, they are prepared, but I also came prepared. Lee Tianyun said in a deep voice, I have to be responsible for all of you. It's not my style to let you die so casually. I want to win, not lose. Even if I can't win, at least I can retreat unscathed. Everyone was excited. Sure enough, this was their king. What's going on? Someone can control the Overlord Stone Steel? When the Imperial Tutor saw the Overlord Stone Steel, his face became very ugly. He had attacked the spirit race for the Overlord Stone Steel and other resources. After searching for a long time, he still couldn't find the Overlord Stone Steel. He didn't expect that someone had already taken it and used it in front of him, suppressing his great formation. As a result, the Heavenly Cloud Shrine had entered a place where no one could stop them. Compared to the time when he had to sway his way in, it was much better. Imperial Tutor, what should we do? Should we send archers to shoot them down? The Imperial Protector General next to him said. Do you think we can win if we get close to them? The Imperial Tutor said in a deep voice. The Imperial Protector General was startled. He thought of the tens of thousands of spiritual swords. If he sent people to attack them, they would definitely die. But if we don't do this, do we just watch them approach? The Imperial Protector General said in a deep voice. Of course not. The Overlord Stone Steel has a special effect. It only works on Master-level Divine Runes. It has no effect on Grandmaster-level Divine Runes. The real show is coming. Let them be proud of themselves for a while. The Imperial Tutor sneered. Our Netherworld Empire's foundation is not limited to this. The Heavenly Cloud Temple quickly flew forward, and Yi Tianyun continued to control the Overlord Stone Tablet to suppress the divine runes along the way, making them unimpeded. When they were halfway through the Heavenly Cloud Shrine, the Imperial Tutor smiled sinisterly. It seemed like he already knew that they were going to die. But at this time, the Heavenly Cloud Shrine slowly landed in the middle of the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. The smile on the Imperial Tutor's face froze. He didn't know what Yi Tianyun wanted to do. Yi Tianyun raised his hand, and tens of thousands of spiritual swords flew forward. Bush, bush, bush. The swords pierced through the Heavenly Cloud Shrine like tens of thousands of sharp arrows. Their target was all the soldiers on the city wall. Since they were very close to the Heavenly Cloud Shrine, they were all within the attack range. Not good. The wand in the Imperial Preceptor's hand emitted a black light. With a sudden pressure, a large area of the array was instantly activated. A black aura rushed out from the array like a giant dragon. It whizzed out and used its huge black physique to block the attack of the spiritual sword. With a fierce fling, a large number of spirit swords were shattered into pieces. It was not difficult at all. The black smoke was too strong. From afar, it looked like a netherworld dragon was flying in the air and blocking the Imperial Tutor's attack. Immediately, Yi Tianyun recalled all the spiritual swords. He only killed a few soldiers. Most of them were blocked by the netherworld dragon. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.